Good morning and welcome back to Gaming with ADHD, where today we're going to be possibly, I don't know. We'll find out. Finishing up our deep dive into Mechwarrior the Battletech role-playing game. I'm your host, Brian, and joined today, as I have been throughout this series, by...
MaxLiao from Legion Myth. I'm not doing the intro today. My throat hurts.
Aw, poor Max.
I know. Boo-hoo. But then, by the way, we are not late. We're only 6 minutes after the scheduled time, which for us is about, 9 minutes early.
At least. We are making progress here. It's like, it's the little things, Max.
That's right.
It's the little things.
It's the whip cracking behind the scenes. But I don't know. I'm putting my guess on this is actually the penultimate episode. I cannot talk. Episode where I think we're gonna have one more after this one because I know I'm gonna sidetrack things to the point where we're not gonna get through Comstar in time, and your wife's gonna beat you with the frying pan, and mine's gonna throw some food in front of me and tell me to stop bugging you. She does it. So when Kevin and Sean or Jeremy are on from Palladium Books, after the stream's over, my wife will give about a half hour or so for us to talk, and after that, she'll start putting food in front of me as a hint, like, let them go.
Apparently, Max can be distracted by food, folks.
No. So. It's I don't like my food to get cold, and because she made, all that stuff, like, I put this work into your food. So it'll be like, okay, I got to go. Last time it didn't work, though. Like, we still talked for another 2 hours as my food is sitting right in front of me. I won't eat on stream, even if it's behind the scenes. I won't do it. So my food is just getting cold. Max has to get his Minnesota goodbye, and yes, hey there, I got to give you the bars, and we got to talk about the ice fish. I showed my wife some ice fishing this week, and she's like, I've seen that before. I'm like, well, then we should go sometime.
Hey,
we should go ice fishing.
In Max's defense, folks, I am born, raised, like, outside of my time in Brazil, never lived anywhere else outside of Arizona. And Max can attest, I do the Minnesota goodbye. I'm just as bad. So,
Yeah, it gets weird after these streams because he'll talk, I'll talk, and we'll both be like, okay, gotta go. Oh, did you know? And then we'll talk with some more, and then he'll be like, oh, did you know? And then we'll talk some more. Fun times.
Exactly. So, what else you got going on, Max? Anything fun or exciting?
No, just ramping up. I finally got my video software working for, so DaVinci Resolve is working again. Actually, it wasn't a DaVinci Resolve issue, it was a Windows issue. So there's one TMNT video that I am way behind on that I told Kevin and Sean that I'd get done. I've got to work on that soon. I just don't know when, because I'm now putting together GMI, because I have GMI this Friday. That's right, Game Master Insights this Friday. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous about this one, like because I've changed so much and I want to get it right the first time, because I think there's 2 people on who've never been on the show before.
You are not going to get it right the first time.
I know. I won't get it right the 10th time. What are you talking about? But in as much as possible. So, I've even redone some of the graphics for it. But, and then, also, that's right. Because Sunday we also have, what's the damn show that we have? RPG Digest is back as well after a couple week break. So everything's coming together. So I've been really busy putting all that together. Got a new game we're covering. Got those panels that we're doing. So busy.
I know. Actually, speaking of, what game are you covering on Sunday?
I am starting a series on Alternity, the 1998 or 7, one of those years, the 1990s version of Alternity, because I read through a little bit of the newer version and had people talk about it, and I hear it's garbage. I to be fair, I don't know, but I have the old one. It is a game that's on my bucket list. I've never had the chance to play it, and I really, really, really do, without the aliens, but I really want to have a chance to play the game because conceptually, I like it. Except for the book is written worse than a Palladium book. Like, the rules are all over the place. I have my note cards here, right here, like how I'm doing episode 1. This is an example for the folks out here. Just for the first on how to roll the dice. page 11. So one subject on page 11, another one on page 11, another on page 12, another one on page 12, then from 47 to 49, and then on 50. And I skipped the skills section, which goes into it more because I'm just going to save that for when we cover skills. And that's all in how to roll dice. And I can do more of that where 10, 12, 38, 49 through 51, all to figure out how to do actions and initiative. Yeah, the book is laid out in not a good manner. But once you do read the book and once you understand it, the game absolutely seems fantastic to me. I love some of the weird concepts they have in the game. Like you roll damage and then I roll armor to see how much that damage is blocked.
Interesting.
I like the wounding system. I forget it's like stun, wound, and mortal damage. So weapons have different levels of damage based on how well the person rolls.
Yeah, I actually like when you brought it up, like I picked up the book sometime last year. I think it was last year. Anyways, and I started looking into it some more, and there are some really, really interesting concepts in it.
Yeah, I think the initiative one is going to piss people off, and that's unfortunate. I like it.
I think it's actually really interesting. You know, the fact that, you know, it took me a minute. Well, I actually had to go read it after you explained it to me. But the fact that you can get like basically everybody gets one action per turn or per phase.
Oh, per phase, yeah, per phase.
Right.
Well, no. You have two actions. Depends on your your speed attribute, whatever the attribute is. You get a number of actions per round based on that number, and I think it's between 1 and 3. I have to look it up again. I kind of want to surprise myself, but if you have 2 actions, which I think is the most common, or that's the standard, I don't think anybody has 4, but I might be wrong.
Right. Well, basically, my point is, like, you have these phases, and you're allowed to do one thing per phase.
Yep.
If you have enough actions and if you roll high enough on your initiative. Anyways, yeah. It seems a little complicated, but it's actually not. And
see, that's the thing. That's what I think people are going to argue about. Because I mean, if you've watched even some recent episodes with me and Heathen Dog and I have a very distinct disagreement when it comes to initiative. I'm one of those people that likes to roll initiative every round. Combat is a scrum. Things don't happen when you want to. You might think you're faster than you are. You know, these things come into play. Where he's more of those that wants to do it once every 3 or 4 rounds, or just once at the beginning of the fight, which I can't stand. I hate that. I absolutely despise that. Even when games put in little tips and tricks like Free League does, or even like the new Palladium TMNT does, where no, you have these different things that can change your initiative over time. I don't. It doesn't feel organic to me doing it that way. So I like initiative every round. Now this adds another wrinkle. Okay, this round has 4 phases. When do you go? Well, that depends on how well you go. And then I go in phase 4 and phase 1 and phase 2. I go in phase 2 and phase 3. I go in phase 4 because I lost an action because I rolled that poorly.
Right. And that's one thing that I hadn't thought about till you just brought it up. It actually brings up a good reason to actually roll your initiative every round.
That slows the game down.
I'll be honest. I'm one that I'm fine with, rolling it at the beginning and, getting through it. But that's just me. We all know that Brian has no experience anyway. So that's a separate issue.
As a Battletech player, I'd think that you'd want to roll initiative every round. I'm just saying.
That's fair. That's fair.
I've had people tell me that. Well, it's because you start with Battletech that you're so insistent on that. I'm like, I don't know if that's the case. It might be. I don't know. But, I mean, my first games were Robotech, Battletech, and TMNT. I mean, technically, I played D&D first, but I don't remember anything about it other than the ant story. So, maybe. But
no, I think there's an argument to be made there. But regardless, I can see all the sides on the argument. But this is one where it's like, no, you really need to do this every round. And there's a good reason for it. So, anyways, I like that. So main reason that I wanted to bring that up is because, just to let people know, I don't know if Max inspired me or just the fact that, I don't know, I'm slightly paranoid about losing my job. I don't know why. It's just something in the back of my head.
Wow.
No, just because I work in tech, man. Like,
so do I.
Yeah, but you work for government tech.
Fair. I don't know. President Trump, I might not have a job either. Who knows?
That is fair. That is fair. But no, but the thing is, I do want my channel to grow a little bit more. I want to do some more things. So, Max was reading off of his note cards about how he's like, okay, well, we're going to talk about this, and it's on these pages, and jumping kind of quote unquote all over the place. I am not reading your comment, Malachi.
It is funny, though.
It is.
I don't know if he saves the chat for after the live stream. Do you click that little thing that saves the chat for after the live stream? Y'all know what we're talking about if he does.
Anyways, so starting next week, I'm going to be doing a morning stream by myself, probably in the middle of the week. Basically, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll get off of work. Because Max, the way that I describe it is he's doing a more systematic approach to Alternity. I'm going to do essentially just a straight read through of Alternity, kind of mirroring him on it. So I'm excited.
What he's doing is we're moving forward and he's picking up my crumbs. Like he's doing it the way we used to do it.
Yes, I'm a big loser. I take whatever crumbs I can get. And
well, no, I honestly think it's because a couple, like we were talking behind the scenes, there's 2 sections of that book I think people may have an interest in that we're not covering. And that's going to be alien races and psionics. And the reason we're not covering those is I don't care about the alien races. It doesn't change gameplay at all. Doesn't do anything interesting to what most people in my history and in my viewership would really care to learn about. At that point, they'll be like, hey, you know what? If I want to know more about the dumb races, I'll get the book myself. Tell me how the game plays and what we do at the table. And then the other one's psionics, because psionics just works like skills. So instead of the skill affecting, I hacked into a computer, you hacked into somebody's mind, let's move on. Like that's
right.
So we're not covering that. Not going to cover equipment. We'll probably talk a little bit about it when we cover armor. Actually, I know I am armor and weaponry, but we're not going to dive into like the equipment list like we used to. We're not going to talk about vehicles. If it doesn't have a game impact change difference, we're just kind of skipping over it unless somebody's like, please tell me about this. Then we'll change our mind.
Right. And that's the thing is I just thought it would be interesting just to kind of have the juxtaposition between the two styles. So anyways, so essentially I've got a lot coming up next week. Even though we're going to be done with Mechwarrior this week, for the record, folks, we might finish tonight if we ever get started. We might not. We'll find out. We'll let you know at the end of the stream. So stay tuned. But yeah, so we've got next week next week or the week after, I might take a week off, but I'll be doing a deep dive on Battletech Gothic on Mondays during the day. I'll be doing Alternity. Well, Alternity will have to start next week since you're starting on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the Third Succession War did end because the ransack of the Capellan Confederation is the Fourth Succession War, but yeah.
Well done.
Well played.
Timothy.
Yeah.
And then also, I should reach out to Sean again because I haven't heard anything since. But me and Ethan will be doing the deep dive through TMNT Redux. So I've got a lot of deep dives coming through.
So when you do Redux, so you know that book is 3 books in one, right?
Yes.
Are you doing all of it, or are you just doing like the TMNT portion of the
I don't
TMNT
have the books. I can't tell you what I'd want to do. I mean, I could see the argument of, just do the actual core book. But then there's also the argument of, well, it comes as a collected book, so just do it all.
Yeah, so we didn't. I just went over the rules. I didn't do. Was it what's in the first one? Truck and Turtles, I think, and Turtles Go Hollywood. Well, Turtles Go Hollywood is an adventure. We never cover adventures, and our reason for that is we don't want to spoil it, even if it is 40 years old. There are people out there and played it, so we don't want to cover that kind of stuff. I think Truck and Turtles is an adventure too, if I remember correctly. I have to look it up.
Well, isn't it like vehicle rules plus an adventure? Well, so like you could still just cover the vehicle rules. The
vehicle rules that I'm looking at are in Transdimensional. That's where they were really fixed up. That's in the second book. That's in Transdimensional Adventures. And the universe guy, I was going to suggest to you, depending on what books they're letting you see, is do the main TMNT thing, put your spin on that, but then dive into transdimensional, because we haven't done that. And I don't think we're going to at this point, because Heathen Dog doesn't want to know anything. Like, he's like, no turtles. And because of my Windows DaVinci Resolve issues, I didn't get to what I needed to do with that. And it'd be really good to see somebody clarify, because when we read through the vehicle rules, I even told Sean and Kevin after fact, I don't know what the hell I just read. Like, I was like, I don't know what I read. Right. I don't know what that was. I have to actually take it offline to read through it to actually understand it. And yes, there's some truth that when you read it on stream, you're not actually gathering it all in like you would. You're not digesting it like you would sitting there. But I just don't know when and if I'm going to get a chance to go back to it. So I think it'd be good if somebody that did actually cover that aspect of the new updated vehicle rules, even if you don't know what the old ones are, who cares? But just like, this is how vehicle combat works. Stop. Let's work through this. Stop. Let's work through this. Because we didn't do that. We just read it and pretended like we knew what the hell was going on, because we were both like, what is this saying? And we didn't want to do that on stream.
Well, if I get the PDF for Transdimensional, then I will look at it, including that. It makes perfect sense to me. But regardless, that's what I've got coming up. So anyways, folks, awesome. With that said, make sure you're subscribed. Obviously, I've got content coming up. I don't have shorts ready for tonight. That'll come out later, but we'll get there.
Shorts. Anyways,
sure. That's where I just sit there, and I'm already going to build the miniature anyway, so might as well record it and throw it up for like a few hundred extra views on my channel.
There you go.
Here we
Somebody's playing the YouTube game.
It's
a game.
It's a game. Anyways. All right. Enough work-related nonsense. How about we get into this?
Wait, Comstar is work-related. What are you talking about?
Okay, I meant like YouTube work.
Oh, this is Comstar is IT.
that's true. That's true. It's
we are both Comstar employees.
it's the Interstellar, AT&T. Don't forget to pay your phone bill.
Or get interdicted.
Or get interdicted. All right. So, Comstar, the last of the factions that we haven't talked about in the book. All right. History. Comstar, the Interstellar Communications Network, is the child of Jerome Blake, one of the most influential men in the 1,000-year history of interstellar space travel. An electronic engineer and a high-level bureaucrat, Blake was appointed Starleague Minister of Communications by the High Council of the League in early 2781. After the conclusion of the Civil War, he was charged with restoration of the League's extensive and partially destroyed communications network. The Blake regime. Starleague was a shambles in the years immediately following the civil strife of the middle 2700s. With 100 million dead and communications to the territorial states completely cut, the council, however, was unable to elect a new First Lord to replace the deceased usurper, Stefan Amaris. In the meantime, they ordered the powerful regent, Alexander Kerensky, to disband his troops. Then, the council further isolated Kerensky by ordering the regular army dispersed to post on worlds scattered across the League. Kerensky responded by calling together all his remaining loyal troops and disappearing with them from known space forever.
And ever and ever and ever.
Never to be seen again. Meanwhile, tensions between rival member states had escalated to open armed conflict. The communications network, which had first been deployed during the ministry of Joshua Hoshiko nearly 200 years before, had suffered grievous damage during the Civil War. In the early years of Blake's ministry, its facilities continued to come under attack, with the rival lords spending huge amounts of energy trying to capture or destroy them. Blake realized that it would be difficult, perhaps impossible, to prevent interstellar communications, particularly between rival houses, from utterly disintegrating. This led him to conceive of a radical means for keeping the lines of communication open throughout the Starleague, and perhaps to maintain civilization itself in the terrible times yet to come. In a secret meeting held in the winter of 2786, Blake gathered together the administrators of the First Circuit relay stations on New Earth, Barnard, Alpha C, Bryant, Procyon, and Diron. He explained his plan for a communications network that might survive the violence of the coming wars. Though simple in design, the plan was complex in execution. Blake managed, however, to obtain a promise from majority of the council lords that they would guarantee the safety of the communications network if it would stay out of politics. That worked well.
It did for a couple hundred years.
That's fair. That's fair. Because communications were crucial to all concerned, Blake was able to save the network and, he hoped, the high technology that had built it. This success cemented his authority and provided him with a tangible base of operations for carrying out the rest of his plan. By hastily recruiting several battle mech regiments, Blake managed to capture Earth in a lightning operation in the summer of 2788. A huge find of spare parts and excess equipment allowed him to pay off the mech regiments in his service. Blake then declared Sol a neutral system under the protection of the Communications Authority and dispatched emissaries to the 5 warlords through the good offices of the First Circuit. He was able to take advantage of the element of surprise and the Lord's preoccupation with each other to obtain the assurances he needed to proceed with his plans. Davian and Merrick were the first 2 lords to recognize the advantage of a neutral communications authority spanning the former Star League, and the other lords followed close behind. Much of the early history of the interstellar communications net, which soon adopted the now familiar name of Comstar, is shrouded in religious mystery. What is apparent is that both the bureaucracy and the technocracy of the organization were necessary to keeping Comstar isolated from the outside world. Penalties for discussing even the most mundane technology with outsiders were extremely severe, including discharge from Comstar service. Blake himself was something of a mystic who viewed the decline of civilization as retribution for its sins. He realized that the tremendous scope of destruction caused by the wars would eventually consume civilization unless some of its precious knowledge was retained. Regardless of its mundane, secular obligations, Blake believed that Comstar had a higher obligation to maintain and preserve knowledge at all costs. Thus, Comstar became a haven for all manner of technicians, prospering while elsewhere battlemech regiments tore the rest of the interstellar society apart. Within 20 years, Comstar was operating at a profit. However, it had been forced to exclude more than 40% of the worlds formerly linked by communications in the time of the Star League, and had completely lost contact with the periphery beyond the inner sphere. Or so went the official line. Blake's directorship of Comstar lasted for 12 more years, during which time Comstar continued to expand its services, improving and upgrading its stations and restoring a regular short-distance mail service to supplement its HPG transmissions. As a byproduct of its existence, the organization helped reestablish a semblance of normal commerce by introducing a Comstar letter of credit, the ubiquitous C-bill, which served as a medium of exchange between both rival and friendly houses, all of whom had also placed their own currencies in service.
And we never talked about that.
The C-bills versus H-bills?
Yeah, we never talked about H-bills.
No, we talked about them. Absolutely we did. And mostly about how everybody ignores them and just uses C-bills. At Blake's insistence, the First Circuit, now the absolute governing body of Comstar, met only in closed session and imposed a secret society mentality on its subordinates. An internal security force known only as ROM, an acronym whose original meaning has been lost to history, was formed in 2811 to help prevent leakage of technological information to the outside and to help thwart defection to the successor lords. ROM quickly became feared and respected throughout Comstar, punishing not only treason, but also doctrinal, i.e. policy disputes with dispatch and efficiency.
So far, they seem pretty all right.
I mean, you know, I don't know why I wouldn't sign up to join them.
They're trying to get communications across the inner sphere. They're trying to protect the loss of technology, or protect technology from being lost. I mean, so far, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of greed in there. It doesn't say that they're doing this, you know, because we want people on far-flung worlds to be able to have, you know, contact with each other, keep families in contact. No, they're just like, we need some money, and this is the way we're going to do it. But I think overall, not bad.
I mean, I was just thinking, I'm like, how else could we describe this? And it's like everybody always calls them the space AT&T, but let's be honest, it's also Space Pope. So maybe the Space Phone Pope? No, too much. I don't know. Not right. Anyways, I do think I think Comstar has always been kind of interesting, and I actually like this presentation versus what you actually get later on, where they're, you know, where they've actually exposed what Comstar is doing.
Yeah, the whole Mindo Waterly thing just totally ruined Comstar.
Oh yeah, like there's clearly a lot of like just from reading this, there's a lot of power in Comstar. You know, but they're just like, hey, we know we have power, but we'll be quote unquote nice about it. And then like within what, a dozen novels, Comstar goes full mask off. Nope, we're taking over. We're the ones
dozen
in
novels.
charge.
I think that was the 4th novel. Oh no, because that did come after the Grey Death Legion stuff. So I guess that'd be the 7th novel. Yeah.
Okay, I was just figuring like about the clan invasion era with Anastasius Fox.
Oh no, she does it in the Warrior trilogy. She takes over right at the end of the Warrior trilogy.
It's been a long time since I've read the Warrior trilogy. So, you know. Anyway, regardless, like that's still pretty quick to go mask off. Like, we're trying to take over.
And the mask off to me, like I don't mind any of the stuff that they're doing behind the scenes. I don't mind them having all those battle mechs. I don't mind them, putting more political pressure on the successor house and so forth. But the way they did it is so, it's so like BattleTech. Instead of let's roll this out slowly, like you said, it's mask off. Like BattleTech really loves to do some Band-Aid rips without testing to see if the wound is actually, healed first. And that was another one that I think that they could have been a little more judicious about, having Comstar become more and more in the mix, a little more problematic over time, instead of like, here we go.
Right. Yeah.
Explorer Corps were cool. That was cool. That was a cool book.
Right. I mean, there's all sorts of things that they could have done and made it more like, power behind the scenes kind
Even
of
if
stuff.
your goal was to eventually unmask them, which I could see happening at some point, some weird person taking over and Mindo Waterly in this case doing that. It was just the immediacy of it.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. All right. Well, Max, tell us about the Secret Society.
Ooh, they have a secret society more secret than Comstar itself. This should be good. Upon Blake's death in 2819, the First Circuit chose Conrad Toyama, first tech of Dairon, as a successor. A staunch admirer of Blake, Toyama was determined to carry out. Wow. Toyama was determined to carry out his dreams and policies. Comstar doctrinal history claims that on his deathbed, Blake communicated the word to Toyama and revealed his fears that high-placed officials in the organization would betray Comstar. That never happened. Whether or not this story is true is apparent that Toyama had serious philosophical conflicts with several of his colleagues in the First Circuit and their supporters. They wished to have the activities of RUM brought under the circuit's controls and for Comstar to use its now tremendous resources and technological expertise to build its own battle mech force and conquer the inner sphere. This faction bided its time while Blake was still alive, apparently hoping to persuade Toyama to their point of view. As it turned out, they could not have been more wrong. All right, let me scroll to the next page over here. There we go. Toyama was utterly opposed to Comstar taking an aggressive role in successor state affairs. He based his stance on one of Blake's journal entries and a prediction by the director of the Future Complete breakdown of civilization. Again, the Capellan Confederation saw this as well, so you might say, were they in cahoots? Or was it just the natural progression of society that wise people will see? We don't know. He postulated a time when power would run out and the machines would break down, when there would be no more battle mechs and no more succession wars. Only then, Blake had written, would Comstar emerge from its isolation and relight the lamp of civilization, establishing itself as enlightened theocratic oligarchy. Though the journal entry appeared to be mere speculation, Toyama looked upon it as gospel, a prophecy of things to come. Toyama's reaction to the warmongering of his opposition was swift and violent. Considering their proposal an affront to the word of Blake, Toyama used the tremendous and largely unseen power of ROM to remove his opponents, including 4 of the 6 members of the First Circuit and nearly 20% of Comstar's administrators and techs. It took Toyama less than a week to purge the opposition, who were so taken by surprise they never managed to organize any resistance. Real quickly, 6 percentors. We got the 5 houses. Who's the 5th one? Do they consider either Star League or the Terran Hegemony to be one? I forget. Who's the 6th? Or is it a Comstar representative himself?
I thought they mentioned it. The First Circuit, New Earth, Barnard, Alpha C, Bryant, Procyon, and Diron.
So New Earth, that's Capella. Diron is Karita. Procyon, I think. Wait, or is that Capella? And New Earth is Merrick. Well, they're close to each other. And then who was the other one? By the way, those planets are pretty close to. Well, Diron isn't, but anyway. I was just getting, like, I can't remember who the 6th one is, and I can't remember if it's Comstar itself or if it's recognition of the Terran Hegemony, or if they were like somehow going like, oh no, we still think the Star League's alive, but that doesn't make any sense because then you wouldn't have the other ones. I'm guessing you're looking it up.
Yeah, I'm looking up where they're looking. So Alpha C is. It says Rigel Kentaurus is the actual planet.
Well, maybe it'll tell as we go on here, like who the member states are or whatever. It's just weird that it's 6 because I don't remember who the 6th one is.
Well, no, New Earth, Barnard, Alpha C, Bryant, Procyon, and Diron. So that's 6 right there.
Right. But each one represents a house.
Right. So I would say Alpha C is probably Davian because it's kind of southeast of Terra. Did you say what Barnard was?
Yeah, that one I don't know.
Calf? These are all like Terran hegemony stuff. So this was also Federated Suns.
So I wonder
also
if that
Capella
one...
Confederation.
Well, yeah, it should be one in each house, and then there's an extra one. And I was just, who does it represent? We know that each percenter is from a house. So my guess it is Terran Hegemony, but I don't know. I'm sure I did at one point. I'll just keep reading.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so real quick, rereading this. In a secret meeting held in the winter of 2786, Blake gathered together the administrators of the First Circuit relay stations on... Okay, so that actually isn't representing...
Oh, I got you. Okay,
those houses. So those are just like he was on Earth. Because these planets are all like really close to Earth, so it was probably like, you know, the closest advisors nearby. He's like, hey, everybody get here, because they could all like, boom, it's just one jump to Earth.
And this part specifically says, including 4 of the 6 members of the First Circuit and nearly 20% of Comstar's administrators and techs. So the 6 members of the First Circuit are 1 for each house. I'm just going to guess that the other one off the top of my head is the Terran Hegemony. Because...
here, looking at the First Circuit... Okay. The First Circuit were the chief administrators of the HPG stations which made up the Prime or First Circuit of the old Star League HPG network. New Earth, Barnard, Alpha C, Bryant, Procyon, and Diron, as well as a Prime administrator. While operating as the chair and president of Comstar, the Prime administrator... Okay, so it's those... It's still those 6 planets.
Yeah.
You're thinking, okay, it's the percenters of Arcturus, Oriente, Altair, and...
Yeah, the 6 members of the First Circuit. That's what I'm talking about. We're the 6 members of the First Circuit.
Yeah, it's New Earth, Barnard, Alpha C, Bryant, Procyon, and Diron, which basically it's that first, like, Earth, to the first like the first planets out. Boom, that's your first circuit. Because then there's also the first circuit underwent its most radical reform under Primus Yin Takami, who believed the presenters of the first circuits were now more politicians than a technocrat, violating what Jerome Blake had envisioned for the council. He proposed the creation of new advocate presenters who were to speak for all of the Comstar facilities within one of the 5 successor states. 4 would be new members: Presenter Sion for the Capellan Confederation, Presenter New Avalon for the Federated Suns, Presenter Tharkad for the Lyran Commonwealth, and Presenter Atreus for the Free Worlds League, while Presenter Diron would represent the Draconis Combine.
Mm-hmm.
After much politicking, Primus Takami received the First Circuit's approval for these reforms. Okay, so those the House representatives didn't even come in until later.
Okay.
So
I was going to start referencing here, but like,
yeah,
anyway.
Okay, we got way into the weeds on this, folks. Sorry.
well, we got in the weeds because I've always known there to be 5 presenters. It said 6 here, and I can only guess that the 6th one is somehow representative of the Terran hegemony, because the first planets taken after the fall of the Star League were from the hegemony.
Right.
So the hegemony was still its thing, sort of.
Right, but yeah, so these 6, it's literally the first jump out from Terra, more or less.
All right. After muddying the waters there, we'll continue on here. Rapid changes in Comstar followed. Secure in his power, Toyama culled what he believed was the essence of Blake's worldview from his unpublished diaries and published it. These ideas became essential to Comtech training. The corporate hierarchy was dismantled and replaced with a more plutocratic structure, grandly titled the Comtech Order. And if you know anything about this, it's almost like Freemason language, dude. I like the way they label their I don't want to call them orders, their ranks, for lack of a better term. Trainees became acolytes, technicians became adepts, managers and administrators became presenters, pervading all levels of the organization. Responsible only to the Primus himself was Rom, helping to ensure total obedience to the dictates of First Circuit. Toyama's great love of ceremony led to the development of elaborate rituals for important events and contacts with the outside, from initiation of a new acolyte to the excommunication of a world or state from Comstar services. One example was the interdict placed on House Merrick following the attack on Comstar Station at Oriente in 2837. Toyama handpicked his successor, Raymond Karpov, in order to further extend Comstar's influence over the Inner Sphere while remaining out of its politics. Karpov issued an edict in 2854 that threw open a fixed number of acolyte positions to scions of great houses and Mechwarrior families. This also allowed Comstar to absorb what little technological innovation was going on outside. The rigidity of Comstar structure, the wide-ranging authority of the Primus in the First Circuit, and the all-pervasiveness of Rom have proved to be an effective combination. More and more of the litany and ritual of Comstar ceremonies have become necessary for the accomplishment of Comstar's operation. During Toyama's primacy, a Comstar acolyte might have uttered the necessary invocation prior to activating HPG, only because he feared a Rom agent would call him out if he did not. Less than 50 years later, a less sophisticated acolyte might utter the same invocation because he believed that the HPG simply would not function if he did not. The rituals created by Toyama took less than 2 generations to become ritual magic in the shadow of the saintly figure of the blessed Blake.
You can't offend the machine spirit.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you can.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
great
well, no,
machine, please
no,
blast my
okay,
message.
let me rephrase that. You shouldn't offend the machine spirit.
Yeah,
in other words, Battletech was Warhammer before Warhammer was Warhammer.
Well, it'd be really sad if your toaster started to act up because you didn't activate the HPG properly and the machine gods got angry with you.
Right? No one needs their toaster rising up against them.
Did you plug it in or turn it off, turn it back on again?
Okay. Because it's gaming with ADHD and this is how I roll. We're like, Kim wants a new refrigerator, And so we're at Home Depot yesterday, just like looking and checking out prices and comparing to
Way
Costco.
too expensive.
I don't disagree, but there's essentially a model that we like, but then there's like a lower model with some less features, and then there's an upper model with more features, including like that AI where it like will look into your refrigerator and tell you need milk or something. And she's like, no, I don't need AI in my refrigerator, so that when the AI overlord takes over, my refrigerator tries to eat me.
Well, look, if you say please and thank you to your refrigerator, you're going to be on the good list. If you perform your appropriate ritual beforehand, I thank the refrigerator for the milk thou keeps safe and doth not spoil upon my
Cheerios.
Yeah, there you go. And then you open the door, you pat it once or twice, good boy. And then and then when the AI overlords take over,
exactly,
your refrigerator will put in a good word for you. I laughed, she laughed, the toaster laughed, we shot the toaster.
I've always loved that joke. But I will admit, I love having a wife who is just nerd adjacent enough to be able to make those jokes for me. It's great. Anyways, let's find out about the organization. The Comtech Order has changed little since Primus Raymond Karpov established the doctrinal edict that created a 3-tiered hierarchical structure in 2861. The Primus, or director, is generally nominated by his predecessor and confirmed by the First Circuit, which was enlarged to 10 members in 2857 with the addition of Arcturus, Oriente, Altair, and Capella. Wait, why'd you laugh?
Because even Comstar, with its religious hierarchy, religious overtones, still has to have the feudal hierarchy.
It's Space Pope.
The Space Pope is not determined by his successor.
Well, no, he's nominated.
The Pope doesn't nominate his successor.
That's okay. It's a slightly different Space Pope.
Well, I'm just saying, this goes back to the feudalism that pervades all through the inner sphere right now, and even Comstar with its religiosity still like, I deem thee my successor.
Right. Oh no, I'm totally here for it. Yeah. No, space Muslims. That wouldn't that space Muslims, wouldn't that technically be, the word of Blake? They did go on.
I know they use the term jihad and so forth, but no, I don't really consider they're hardliners, but I mean, whether it's hardline Islamists, hardline communists, hardline Nazis, whatever, you'll find hardliners everywhere, and they just happen to win.
And BattleTech, let's be honest, there's enough crossover where it's like they're pulling inspiration from all sorts of places.
Absolutely, 100%. Everything that they've done. Well, I can't speak to modern BattleTech, but everything they did through at least the 90s, when I was really paying attention, is something you could look at. Oh, the world's changed. Using my favorite house, the Capellan Confederation. It's funny how it started as Sino-Soviet, because when the game came out, who was our primary enemy? The Soviet Union. And and even though China was communist, it was kind of downplayed. And then in the 90s, after the Soviet Union fell and China, started becoming more prominent, wow, the entirety of the house became Chinese.
Yeah. You could make all sorts of arguments for, this one is this or that one is that, but there's enough crossover that you're like, oh, okay, maybe not entirely, but anyway,
it would have been funny if they would have made a house Merrick fall apart like Space Yugoslavia and have it be, all these little minor houses.
Well, that's the thing, is when I first got into it, I thought Merrick was Space United States, and
funny, there is no Space United States in here. Maybe the hegemony would have been considered that, but there's no real Space United States. I mean, you could argue Davian, but it's actually more based on medieval Europe than it is United States.
Well, England and France.
Yeah.
And then, so
where's Space Australia? We need the kangaroo mech.
Look, Space Australia is just as real as regular Australia.
It's in that's right. It's in the periphery. I forgot.
No, it's imaginary. It doesn't exist.
Well, the periphery is imaginary.
That's true. That's fair. Exactly. There's nothing outside of the inner sphere. There's not even a whole like set of worlds in like a pentagon shape somewhere way out there.
Because that would be asinine.
Totally asinine. No one would ever do that. Immediately below the Primus are the presenters of the various stations, ranked according to the importance of their station. Most prominent among these A stations are the 10 of the first circuit and the center station on Terra. Directly responsible to each presenter are a number of adepts, comtechs, with at least 1 year of service to the order. Unlike presenters who are transferred only by promotion or demotion, adepts serve only 1 year at a given station, then are automatically transferred to another post. This policy discourages undue familiarity with lay personnel, superiors, or fellow adepts. To further distinguish adepts, an intricate system of rankings and degrees has evolved, indicating length of service, equipment training, and distinguished conduct. Members of the order with less than 2 years service are called acolytes. During an initial apprenticeship of 10 weeks, the neophyte is introduced to the outer mysteries of the order, hyperpulse equipment, the stations of the first and other circuits, and the basics of celestial mechanics. Following this, applicants who have proved themselves worthy of the order are initiated, which commits them to lifelong service. Comstar discipline and the continued effectiveness of ROM restricts renegades to a tiny few. Comstar has 2 specialist branches, ROM and the Explorer Service. Explorer Corps is a better name.
Yeah.
Well,
to be fair, I think they probably didn't want to use Explorer Corps because they do try to not look military. You know, kind of like how Roddenberry didn't really necessarily like the name Starfleet. At least that's what I heard.
Fair.
I'm not, because, it wasn't supposed to be purely military. So I think Explorer Service does make more sense, but you're 100% right. Explorer Corps is a much better name. And it's actually one of the cooler Comstar books that are out there.
Never read it, but I think it was technically before my time, but that's fine. ROM is a highly secretive and extremely independent subculture within Comstar. It recruits according to its priorities, most often from within the acolytes of the order, though it is whispered that ROM also recruits laymen to perform its more feared tasks. From wherever they come, the ranks of ROM include some of the most fanatical and vicious killers in the galaxy. I think a Comstar game of like just techs and like non-Mechwarrior characters could actually be like a lot of fun. I would call it kind of like Ninjas and Super Spies. Like I would run it like that, only like a little darker, like Hitman.
I could see that for ROM, but for like the regular acolytes.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, definitely ROM. Like regular
okay.
acolytes, like, hey, I'm working at I push the button. Hooray.
Well, the cool part about ROM is because you don't want people to know you exist. And you're oftentimes working against the other houses. You could, yes, absolutely be working internally as well. There'd always be that we can't get caught motif.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think that would be a really, really fun.
And there's a novel that could inspire you on that.
Which one?
Crap, what is it? It's Decision of Thunder Rift is the first one. Mercenary Stars is the second. Price of Glory.
Okay.
Well, who was it that went after?
You're asking me to remember novels that I read 30 years ago.
Yeah. A true Battletech fan would remember. Yeah, I mean, but it was not now, but somebody's gonna correct me. It wasn't them, it was actually this other guy. But if my memory serves me correctly, it was Comstar that was framing him. And if I'm wrong, well, it still makes a better story than whatever they wrote then. Because I remember it that way. Now I gotta go read the book. Dang it!
It's not like you have anything else to do.
Nothing.
The Explorer Service was founded during the primacy of Adrian Sims, immediate predecessor to the current Primus, Julian Tipolo. Particularly bright comtechs may serve a year in the Explorers. Explorer teams consisting of 2 Explorer Corps leaders. There we go. And 5 to 8 adepts are outfitted with a small jump vessel, a contingent of troops, and an old Star League star chart. Then are instructed to rediscover worlds with which contact has been lost. Comstar policy is to inform the nearest successor house of its responsibility for the safety of the Explorer team, thus guaranteeing some protection against the potential hazards of such service.
Okay, that's I put it up a couple times, so I have not read this book in a long time. You can tell it's still in pretty decent condition.
That is really good condition, and definitely not before my time, so I'm just an idiot.
Well, I mean,
I thought it had a different cover.
Maybe. I mean, I'm pretty sure I got it first printing because I used to collect this stuff right away. What year does this say? Blah, blah, blah. Why am I not seeing a date on here? I'm not seeing a date.
That's the only cover. I swear
it's 3050, 3055, 3058 era stuff somewhere in there. But anyway, I like it, and I think using what you were saying, forget ROM. You want to have some traveler style adventures, but in the Battletech universe, this is the book to do it with.
There was like, what was the book? There's like, I cannot find. There was like a book that I want to say had like 3 or 4 people on the cover.
You're not talking just the generic Comstar book, are you?
No. Oh, I get so distracted.
The one book that
maybe it was like a recruit. It looked like a recruiting poster.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyways, tell us about the hyperpulse generator.
All right, hyperpulse generators. Remember, pray to your hyperpulse generator so that message to your mom can get through. Key piece of Comstar equipment is the HPG, Hyperpulse Generator, which operates on the same general principle as the Kearney Fuchita drive. The Comstar communications net is composed of a large number of powerful HPGs capable of transmitting or receiving an instantaneous signal across a distance of nearly 50 light years. What is different about that number, sir?
That it's longer than a jump ship can go.
Jump ships are 30 light years. These large facilities are the A stations. There are well over 50 A stations scattered throughout the inner sphere. In addition, there are stations capable of transmission and reception over a 20 to 30 light-year span. These are B stations located every inhabited world in the inner sphere, except the independent worlds of Butthold, Redmond, Unk Al Hay, Santander. Basically, the stuff in the northern part of the periphery.
Right.
Messages are processed serially, and the HPG at an A station generally make transmissions to each station they serve every 12 to 24 hours. Whenever enough messages for destination have accumulated. Priority messages can also be sent, but the costs are astronomical. B stations process messages in the same way, though they transmit much less frequency, only 2 or 3 times a week, and always to the same A relay station. Messages are charged on a per transmission basis, so the cost to send one via multiple stations can be extremely high. So the takeaway there is your text message to your friend is instantaneous. While sending, sending mail to your buddy might take, or I'm still waiting on one of my packages for TMNT, so that's been weeks. But, you order something, it takes a few days to get to you. Well, guess what? This has kind of got the same thing going on. So hopefully you get your tracking number and know at what station your message got faulty. Because they're reading them all. Oh, there's more. Oh, geez. I thought that was it. Wait, what? No, that's it. That's it for Comstar. Wow, we did get through that. I have to admit, I was wrong. You were right. I was like, 3 pages, dude. That's going to be one. We're done.
It only took us 45 minutes to get through it.
Well, to be fair, at least at first, we didn't talk a lot. And then it was like we were holding it in.
Oh, man, I am so stuck on trying to figure out what this book is.
See, I don't even know what you're talking about. I could maybe find a book or something. I hate having these live streams with Brian because by the time I'm done, I got like 10 books laying on my desk and I have to figure out where they went.
No,
The one book that I don't have that hurts me to this day because I remember having the chance to get it back in the 80s and I was like, I don't need that book. And I can't believe how stupid I was, is I don't have the original Star League book. And I'm very, very, I have all the house books. I don't have the Star League book, and I'm so angry about that. So if anybody wants to send me a good copy of one, I'm open. But I do have the Succession Wars Risk game.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
The Succession Wars?
No.
Oh, I mean, that does have 5 people on the cover. They reused that box art for a book somewhere, and I was kind of irked about that. It's a more modern book, but I was like, wait a second.
It's the new cover of A Time of War. Maybe this is the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, that's the book I'm missing. That's the, oh man, I can't believe that I was like, I don't need that one. I was young. Now, I've looked for copies of that, and I have not found one in good condition or that's under $200.
Yeah, that is one thing that does kind of frustrate me. Like even still, like they they don't do reprints on a lot of stuff, and it's just like, but why?
Well, to be fair, a lot of that crap has been retconned.
Oh man, here's one on eBay. There's literally a fold down the cover, and they still want $150 for it.
I haven't looked recently, to be fair, so maybe maybe I should do that. But yeah,
again, now they're all $150, $200.
Yep. So that price hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
And I want one in good condition.
And there are not many. So yeah, there's like 3 listed.
I have it. It's been on my wish list from, was it Noble Knight Games, for about 10 years. So if one ever comes in, I'm supposed to get an email. Guess what? I've never received
an email. All right. Well, let's see. So we are going to skip the games unless somebody wants to throw in a $10 super chat so that we cover it. And we're also skipping the new Avalon Institute of Science. So how about we talk about the Periphery, Max?
All right. Sounds good. You want me to start in this one?
Yeah, you start this one.
All right. I'm a fan of the Periphery, so this works out for me. All right, historical background to 2785. To even the most well-informed citizen of the successor states, the Periphery seems like a huge area without firm definition, stretching far beyond the borders of the successor houses into interstellar night. There's actually truth to that. If it were possible to define the frontier of this vast domain, it would lie perhaps 150 to 200 light years from the Terran homeworld. Even this estimation does little to convey where the Periphery actually begins or ends. I will say that I think this book was written before they had that defined. 200 light years sounds a little too close. I think it's further out than that if I'm doing my 30 light year jump math, but I might be wrong about that. But they obviously do have maps of the Periphery that show at least where the star empires, if you want to call them that, exist. But the extent of the Periphery, and also a lot of information was lost. As you know from the Exodus of the Clan, is that what it's called? Exodus of the Clans?
Well, not the Exodus of the Clans, but the Kerensky Exodus, which
no. I'm talking specifically of the Twilight of the Clans. Twilight of the Clans. They had to rediscover the information.
Well, no, they didn't have to rediscover it. It's that the Inner Sphere didn't know where it was, and so they managed to get one of the basically a ROM agent turned a clan Mechwarrior who was being sent back to the clan homeworlds. And essentially, every time they made a jump, she had some little scanner that detected where they were. And so she built a map and then managed to get back to the inner sphere and get that information to Comstar. And then that's when they did.
But I thought a lot of those planets out there, the inner sphere didn't have actually like, oh crap, we forgot this stuff existed.
I probably. But again, like that's the other thing is, space is so vast and it's 3-dimensional. That's one problem with the
no, I've seen the maps. It's 2D.
And so which direction do you go? How far do you go? And so even if you had like all of the map, even if you had an accurate map, you wouldn't necessarily know where they ended up. But that is one of the other things is that there are lost civilizations. I was reading for the Wikis channel for Clan Cloud Cobra, which is coming out Sunday, I think. And early in the formation of the clans, they went and found 3 planets that were colonized like well before the Star League even existed and had just been forgotten. So, and then the Scorpion Empire, which shows up later on, again, the clan Goliath Scorpion managed to find a couple of planets sitting out in the middle of nowhere. And they're like, oh, we're going to take this. So yeah, they're like, you could easily, if you wanted to just say, there's something out there somewhere,
In this era of BattleTech, the Explorer Corps were checking things out, but they're being very, very secretive about it. Mostly they were looking for Star League caches. But the pirate kingdoms to the north, they weren't trying to expand any further out because they didn't have the equipment to do it. So they were just trying to consolidate, hold on to their own stuff, and raid the inner sphere where they knew things were and could take it. And the rest of the inner sphere is just kind of, to some degree, is blocked in. I mean, it's weird to say that, but to some degree, they were blocked in by the periphery kingdoms, even if those periphery kingdoms were really tiny, because they had their own war and machinations and they wanted Earth,
Well, and on top of that, it's one of those things of like even today, like just think about it like from a United States perspective. Okay? Like whatever state you live in, the capital city, there's going to be all sorts of enforcement. There's going to be code enforcers, there's going to be police, there's going to be all sorts of stuff. The farther away you get from whatever jurisdiction, it's like, oh, I'm going to call the sheriff on you. Okay, the sheriff might be able to get out there in 2 hours, to do something. So, yeah, like the periphery or like the houses, they're worried about the stuff that they can control. Those bandit raiders on the periphery that are kind of annoying, the 2 worlds that take me 5 jumps to get to anyways, yeah, they're going to kind of do their own thing. So, anyway, sorry.
All good. As described in the historical preface, much of the periphery was explored and settled as early as the Exodus. These origins have always given the citizens of the vast periphery a feeling of independence from Terra. During the next 2 centuries, the Age of War, the worlds of the periphery also... Scroll over. Oops, I got to go down, I guess. Bad formatting. So where were we here? So the worlds of periphery also distance... What?
Always danced.
Oh, also danced. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Danced was not a word my brain wanted me to see there. So the worlds of the periphery also danced the intricate... Okay,
Pavane?
Now we gotta... every episode we get one word that we're like, what is that? Pavane? Pavane?
No idea.
I love, I mean this in seriousness. I actually like the fact that this book is using words like that because I used to think that I had a pretty good vocabulary. I might not act like it sometimes, but I'm like, what?
So, there's too many N's for first off.
Okay.
But it's Pavane.
Pavan?
A stately dance from the 16th century.
Okay. Well, they danced the intricate pavan that passed for combat during the era. Nevertheless, the independent-minded Outer Worlds continued to resist the idea of Terra as a guide or mediator in their affairs. The Cameron family, hereditary rulers of the Terran hegemony from 2339 on, was able to accomplish very little diplomatically in regard to these distant states. Then, when the rulers of the Inner Sphere combined voluntarily to form the Star League, the Periphery refused to join. It was only after they lost a bloody, very, very bloody 20-year war waged against them by the Inner Sphere that the Periphery was persuaded to join. Although the Victoria Star League launched a strenuous propaganda campaign to create a veneer of unity after their conquest of the Outer Worlds, it is clear, in hindsight at least, that they still considered themselves separate even a century and a half later. Nonetheless, the good years were beneficial to the Periphery as well as the Inner Sphere. The technological developments of the 27th and early 20th centuries, HPG, small-scale myomers, and low-cost water purification, allowed greater communication among the exploitation of the vast resources of the Periphery. Trade and commerce grew exponentially. Many of the worlds of the Star League, both inner and outer, became economically interdependent, which encouraged the specializations of worlds into agricultural, industrial, and so on. The long peace between 2597 and 2765 was finally broken by the succession of several Periphery worlds, followed by a coup staged by Stefan Amaris of the Rim worlds. 15 years of civil war followed. Before it ended, the fighting damaged the whole Star League, especially in the areas around Terra and in the Rim worlds. Vast sections of the League's HPG network were destroyed or disabled, effectively cutting off contact between the Periphery and the Inner Sphere. The departure of currency, by the way, this is heavily focused on what I call the northern side of the Periphery, where the Bandit Kingdoms were, where Stefan Amaris was, the Rim Worlds, and so forth. The southern side, where you have the Taurian Concordat, the Magistracy of Canopus, and the Franc domains, or whatever the heck we figured out.
The Franc Reaches.
Franc Reaches. They were not nearly as affected by any of this. Now, the departure of Kerensky's armada in November 2784 removed the last obstacle to open war between the states of the Inner Sphere. By turning on one another, the successor houses now left the Periphery to its own devices. Wow, like they noticed a difference. Over the next 2.5 centuries, the distant outer worlds were finally free to follow their own paths. And it should say, again.
Piracy.
That was to the north. To the south, you had the growth of again, the magistracy, I can never say the damn word, Magistracy of Canopus.
Good job, Max.
The Taurian Concordat, and I mean, there are others with the Circinus Confederation, the Marian something.
Hegemony.
Hegemony. I mean, some of them were small. Who's the crazy Roman one that actually brought it? Was that Marian? Or was that Circinus? One of them was like he recreated the Roman Empire. Like, it was really weird.
Oh yeah, that like straight up recreated it.
Yeah. Like how Star Trek used to recreate, Nazism, the Roman Empire, the Greeks, the Greek gods and so forth. This guy just did it in BattleTech.
The Marian hegemony
Okay.
is a major Periphery state rimward and anti-spinward of Terra beyond the Duchy of Tamarind Abbey and Rim commonality. The monarchist Republican nation bears resemblance to the ancient Roman Empire, with its national symbol being the bust of an armored Roman warrior against a tan banner that bears the name Marian Hegemony in English at its center, and the Latin words Pax and Mortis on its opposite ends. Dun dun dun.
Wait, Pax Mortis? Doesn't that mean like the law of death?
No, peace through death.
Oh,
peace and death? I don't know. No peace until you're dead. I don't know. I don't speak Latin.
Oh, I thought you were actually hold on. I can find out. Oh wait, no, I can't there. You said Pax Mortis, right?
Well, Pax on one side, Mortis on the other, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a sentence or that they are related. It could just be,
Oh, I think it does.
Probably.
I'm going with that. Hold on, I'm waiting for the answer. I'm ChatGPTing this. You couldn't do it quicker than that? Oh my God, it's still thinking. Well, it knows it's Latin. Peace of death.
Okay.
So if you meant specific idea, Latin usually expresses it more clearly with one of these: peace in death, pax in morte. So, but pax on one side, mortis on the other side just means peace of death. Like peace, not as in peace as in you have pieces, but peace as you know.
The peace that you gain from dying.
Yeah.
Right. You know, it would have been
People
faster.
often use it as a dark poetic motto or title. You'll see it referenced as a slogan or motto in BattleTech related fandom discussions. Oh, look at that. Like it even points, look at ChatGPT. It pointed it back to BattleTech. That's cool. So there you go.
We are so distractible. It's not even funny. All right.
No, hey, ChatGPT related it to BattleTech. It's when it is part of what we're supposed to be talking about.
No, I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong. Just the rabbit holes that we're willing to dive down.
I'm just tap dancing to try to make it.
Dude, Heathen. All I'm going to say is Heathen Dog would be stabbing both of us right now.
I think the word he used on the last live stream was slit our throats.
Yes. I watched that. It was very funny. Anyways, all right, let's talk about the modern periphery, Max. 2785 to the present. The collapse of the Star League had a profound effect on the balance of power in the periphery. First, the Civil War and ensuing conflicts completely disrupted its interdependent economy. Second, Kerensky stripped the inner sphere as well as the periphery of its mech defenses in order to fight the Civil War. This left poorly defended planets prey to private forces still armed with mechs. Third, loss of communication with the inner sphere and the ensuing succession wars increased the periphery's isolation. Until now, Star League had kept in check the conflict between the many factions within the periphery. These grievances and differences now erupted openly. The impact of some of these factors was felt only over the course of time, while others were felt almost at once. For instance, the interdependent economy of the periphery was affected almost as severely as that of the inner sphere by the collapse of communications. This realigned with the economic balance of power on the basis of true wealth, i.e. mechs, ships, industrial facilities, valuable raw materials, and technology, such as still operating HPGs. Because of the lack of spare parts and maintenance equipment, worlds whose existence depended on trade with other worlds had to be abandoned for the most part. Just as in the inner sphere, any worlds dependent on extensive off-planet support for agriculture or pure water were maintained only if located in key strategic locations. It took longer for political structures to disintegrate. In areas of space more densely populated with planets, such as the Hyades, the core of the Catorian Concordat, a semblance of organization remained, especially because not much of the area had been ravaged by the Civil War. Territories such as the Rimworld suffered a different fate. With its planets stretched across an area as wide as the present-day Federated Suns, but with a tenth of the population, and having suffered extensive damage during the Civil War, the Alliance fractured into smaller entities, some no larger than a single world. The early succession wars also influenced political structures in the periphery. Mech units who had rebelled against their masters had made a dangerous enemy, or who wished to seek their fortune often journeyed into the less organized space beyond the inner sphere. There they often became the de facto rulers of a world. Conquest was usually easy because the worlds most easily taken were the most worthless in terms of natural resources, water, or location. This only spurred renegade mech units to further conquests, usually against more heavily populated, richer targets. Although many observers believe these bandits would have little chance of survival without a solid base of operations, the bandits have gone on to become a menace to more stable worlds. The next 2 centuries of periphery history seemed based on the dialectical interaction of two mutually opposing forces. On one side were the independent and self-styled kings of one or more worlds, bandits and privateers of the frontier who expanded their borders through menace, coercion, or occasionally by contracting their services to their neighbors. On the other side were the evolving alliances, some based on the remnants of past governments, others newly formed for the purpose of trade or mutual defense against other alliances or the self-same bandit kings. Alliances also allowed states to pool limited supplies of technological resources such as parts for mechs or water purification devices. The bandit kings acted as a destabilizing force, destroying or dividing alliances. The alliances were a counterpoint to that trend, stabilizing regions to the point where trade and even technological development could begin again. Within each type of government, there were social forces attempting to pull it apart. For example, an alliance often suffered from the inertia or internal disagreement of the members, and limited resources made it impossible to satisfy all parties at all times. Wait. They're not post-scarcity?
For example, an alliance suffered from the inertia.
They're not post-scarcity. I was making a bad joke.
Oh, sorry. I
just declare the limited resources a right, and it'll all be fine.
Else.
It's okay. Though the rulers of the successor houses do not know all the details, they are probably aware that the Comstar organization has maintained at least a tenuous contact with the periphery, substituting small packet vessels where HPGs have been destroyed or disabled. Comstar's influence in the periphery is insignificant compared to what it exerts in the inner sphere, however. Among the outer worlds, it operates more as an information-gathering organization rather than a service-oriented one, because the existing communications equipment is in the hands of independent alliances. However limited at present, Comstar's involvement in the regions beyond the inner sphere is in its best interest, for it relies heavily upon the status quo to maintain its privileged position. The last and potentially most important outside influence in the periphery is that of the Star League Armada, commanded by descendants of the officers who followed General Alexander Kerensky into deep space in November 2784. The fate of this fleet is as much a mystery to the scattered dominions of the periphery as to the states of the inner sphere. The fleet departed the realm of the Star League, seemingly in order to precipitate an unavoidable war, and perhaps with the expectation that it would return sometime in the future. No, they never returned. They're not going to return. They're all dead somewhere out in deep space.
You know how many times Nostradamus was wrong? And that's why, I mean, why are they doing Nostradamus quatrains in this book?
I mean, I think they're just trying to give people hope. Maybe Alexander Kerensky's out there and he'll come back and
save the inner sphere from what?
From itself.
Bring more war?
No, I mean
that's all Kerensky was good for, was war.
I mean, one could call it pacification.
Well, I hope he brings kittens and bunnies.
Often a given alliance or confederation has been infiltrated by agents provocateur from rival states, or even influential bandit kings, further weakening the government's cohesion. Generally, the most successful alliances in the periphery, as in the inner sphere, tend to be oligarchy-based, with power vested in one family or a small group of families. Sometimes even blood relationship does little to prevent divisiveness and treachery, however. Bandit kingdoms, too, suffer from constant flux. Not surprisingly, the existence of many smaller provinces are closely tied to the existence of a charismatic leader. Thus, a weak or ineffectual successor can sometimes undo the gains made by a strong predecessor. As bandit kingdoms are not formal confederations, they may also change hands as a result of personal disagreements, disputes over battle plans, or even more subtle treachery. Indeed, such exchanges may take place even on a battlefield. This trend has prevented the formation of large-scale or long-lasting confederations of bandit lords. Nonetheless, bandit kings do not generally suffer from many of the problems that plagued less tyrannical forms of government.
Yeah, you don't have dissension.
Yeah. Can't dissent if you're dead. Both bandits and alliances have sought to develop the vast reaches of the periphery in search of natural resources and new sources of spare parts and abandoned technology. Because of the need to invest so much men and material in defense efforts, development has been hampered. Nevertheless, continuing expansion and exploration has helped to maintain a relatively high level of technology. States in the periphery are more conscious of the need to maintain this high level of technology for two reasons. First, they need technology to survive the natural forces against which man must contend. Second, technology makes the state more able to resist an attack by any future victor of the succession wars. Indeed, because the worlds of the periphery were forced, largely because of the beating given them by Kerensky, to redevelop industry and agriculture, they are more ideally prepared for war than the inner sphere, whose economy and outlook are scavenger-based. Because of the lack of component techs and sufficient resources, however, military forces of the periphery still cannot match those of the inner sphere, either in numbers or in firepower. The outer worlds have, by and large, been careful not to draw attention to themselves, lest one of the successor states decide to embark on a campaign of conquest. In reality, the inner sphere defends its borders against bandits and knows little about the activities beyond.
Well, Federated Suns knows a little bit because the Taurian Concordat is a complete thorn in their side. like almost a literal thorn. They're about the size of a thorn.
I mean, but have they put a Taurian penis into the Federated Suns?
I'd have to look at the maps again, but I know at one point they actually caused the Federated Suns a lot of problems. I find the Taurians to be funny because they are, I don't know what they're based on, but I can see them in so many different sci-fi dystopian like movies or TV shows, books, whatever. They're just purely like from top to bottom military. Their entire structure is just formal military.
Founded as a constitutional monarchy under the leadership of House Calderon, the Taurian Concordat is one of the oldest surviving realms since the collapse of the Terran Alliance. Taurian citizens enjoy extensive freedoms guaranteed by the Concordat Charter and take pride in defending those freedoms through compulsory service. The Taurian Concordat has had an antagonistic relationship with the Inner Sphere, particularly against the Federated Suns, and is driven by a desire to expand its borders through colonization and protect its hard-won freedoms from outside aggression.
They're the antithesis to the Canopians.
Yeah, they seem like they're like normal and kind of reasonable.
And you don't think the Canopians are? Canopians are space Las Vegas, man.
Yeah, but that means they've got crazy cat ladies. So,
well, they are, was Centrella. Is that the name of the family for? I think it is. Yeah, the Centrella, the Magistrix Centrella, if I remember correctly. Emma? God, it's been so long. All right, you want me to hit the next paragraph here?
I do in just a second, but I got to
Okay.
show something real quick.
Uh-oh. Is it a Taurian penis?
Bam!
Well, it's kind of a middle finger. What year is this?
This is 3085.
Okay.
Seraphis is probably super happy because, you know, anytime he would do a stream with me, he's like, I got to get this in. It's like, okay, sure. Anyways, all right. Tell us.
Communications with the Inner Sphere.
There we go. Communications with the Inner Sphere.
Though the periphery has been fairly cut off from the Inner Sphere since the time of the Civil War 2.5 centuries ago, there is no absolute border where the Inner Sphere ends and the periphery begins. Both independent mech units and intrepid traders make their way beyond the successor states from time to time, and some information has trickled back to the Inner Sphere. This is most true in the reaches beyond the Draconis Combine and the Federated Suns, where both Davian and Karita spies are attempting to woo support from the several states that descend from the former Outworlds Alliance. Wait, former Outworlds Alliance? I need to know more. Also, both Davian and the House of Calderon, rulers of the much reduced Taurian Concordat, are engaged in economic infiltration of the wide, disorganized space between the Rimworld portion of the Capellan March near Aldebaran and the Hyades, the core of the Concordat. I have not read about the Outworlds Alliance in many years, so my information might be foggy. But I seem to remember that they were basically agrarian, anti-war pacifists that somehow are able to hold off both Karita and Davian. And like
the Outworlds Alliance?
Yeah, like there's no this whole thing. Like I don't remember the several states that descend from the former. I don't know what that means. So maybe I'm just misremembering. But
hey, real quick, ignore Discord.
Okay, I'm ignoring Discord.
Okay. Sorry.
I do that really well, by the way.
I know. Outworlds Alliance. Major periphery powers located spinward of Terra and the Inner Sphere, bordering both the Draconis Combine and the Federated Suns. The region of space has also been called the Outer Sphere.
Well, we'll end up reading about it in just a little bit, but I'm wondering if this book is different because, you know, we've both noticed just little minor things, little anecdotal things that are different in this book than they are like as more books come out, like books like The Periphery or books like Comstar, Explorer Corps, and so forth. So I'm just wondering if this is one of those initial, like we even talked about it, was it last week, about there's no way that number is accurate, like 100 planets per
right.
Like, you know, so I'm just wondering if it's one of those just kind of initial draft type things. Or if I'm absolutely just misremembering, I don't know.
Well, it's not necessarily draft stuff. But again, remember, this is very early in the BattleTech release.
Yeah.
So like the house books hadn't come out yet. Like this is essentially your first real deep dive into the inner sphere.
So I'm not gonna lie, when you caught me off guard with with that, I was actually thinking about, I wonder what it would be like to read the 3025 era house books and talk about them, and the Periphery book, talk about them. Like like, and then you said that thing, like, this is like post whatever. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. Like, because I was actually thinking about that could be interesting, like some of the history of it. Like, oh look, there's Liao. Yeah, he was a nutcase. Wouldn't be all that necessarily interesting, but some of the anecdotal things of like, was it Otto Liao just giving away, like, here, Brian, have my worlds, just leave me alone, like, or is that Terrence Liao? Either way, like, you get what I'm saying, right? Or reading about the first Federated Sun Civil War and how bloody and horrible that was, stuff like that. That could actually be interesting. I kind of wish I had time for that, but I don't.
I mean,
maybe towards the end of next year.
I was gonna say, why are you giving me ideas for more streams and more things that we could do?
I think the problem is those books are kind of long, and I wouldn't say that the history is dry. I like it, like, but I'm also an old school BattleTech fan, so I find that stuff to be very interesting. Some of the anecdotal stories that they would have in little sidebars, like, I like that kind of stuff. Now, what the senior colonel rank means, I don't know if anybody cares. Like, but the history of it, I think, would be fun to go through at some point.
Well, and that would be one where like I was actually trying to do this for BattleTech Gothic, but it didn't really work out. But maybe actually have a panel with more than 2 people. Like, get a few people on.
We get sidetracked this much with 2 people.
I
Do you
know
think having
we
2
do,
more?
but you know what? It would be a lot. Like now that
It'd
you're
take a year
mentioning
to get through one house book.
I don't care. I don't care. I think that would be great. Like, okay, folks, we're not promising anything, but I'm going to try and make this happen, even though Max has a lot going on. I think we could pull it off.
You're going to have to convince my wife.
I think the catch is the amount of time. Just like 1 hour a week.
Oof. I mean, I'm not saying that that's too much time. I'm just thinking, like, we wouldn't get anywhere in those books during that time.
I think we could do it.
And my suggestion, and to be fair, I do not know what order they come in. I'm pretty sure the Capellan Confederation was not the first one, but we do them in order that they come out, the book number order. So the order they were released by FASA at the time would be the right order to do them in.
House Davian preceded by House Davian was like the last one. So
was it? Okay.
By House Merrick. House Merrick was preceded by House Liao.
Okay.
House Liao was preceded by House Steiner.
Oh, so Kurita's first. Okay.
And then Kurita was first.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the interesting thing about Kurita for me was always the fact that the more Steiner worlds they took over, the more it bogged them down. and I love the story of the little yellow bird.
And then the Periphery, and then the Star League.
Man, I have all of them except for the Star League.
All right. Well, yeah, Timothy, stay on target. Stay on target. All right. Well, Max and I are going to talk about it behind the scenes, but if we can pull it off, I think it would be fun. Anyways, all right. Did we finish this?
Yeah, we needed to talk about Bandit Kingdoms now. Now, we talked last week behind the scenes. We weren't going to cover every single one of these Bandit Kings. The one that's important to me, I actually none of them are, except for Red Jack Ryan. I know we talked about a couple other ones as well, because I just like that picture of is that Valasek? He's the Oberon. Oh, hold on. No. Yeah, that's Valasek, Santander 5. To be fair, he's not important. Red Jack Ryan is important because his family, and I think we even read about him in the history of Battletech when we started the series off. His family is actually important to Battletech canon.
Sure. I
don't know which ones interest you otherwise, or what people would want to hear about. But of the Bandit Kings, I think that's the only one we need to read. But if people are interested in the other ones, I mean, I'm good.
Yeah, let's do it. So, let's just do what we talked about last week. All right. So, bandit kingdoms. There are many bandit kings in the periphery, and their influence varies from power over one world to a dozen. Both their numbers and their relative strength are in constant flux, however. Several kings are fairly well established and are known in the inner sphere and the periphery. All right. So basically what Max was getting at, which I was distracted on this new sorry, Max. So we're essentially going to do it like we did with the other named characters from the different factions. We're not covering everything. We're just going to cover ones that we think are important, or that get artwork, which are usually more important. So we'll cover that.
So artwork would be definitely Helmar Valasek then.
I know.
And Red Jack. Who else we got here? The Belt Pirates. Are they important? They sound like they were important to me. I don't remember.
We'll just piece through it as we go down. I mean, we're almost done with this, Max. All right. Bandit Kings. For each Bandit King, the following information is provided below: capital world and approximate location, number of mechs and number of worlds controlled, current affiliation, if any. Although Bandit Kingdoms and alliances are grouped separately, the difference between the two is more semantic than actual. All right, so we got this guy. Who is this guy, Max? Tell us about him.
That is Helmar Valasek of Santander 5, Coreward of the Draconis Combine. What that means is basically he's north of the Draconis Combine, House Karita. Valasek controls only the bone-dry world of Santander 5, from which he launches water raids against smaller number of worlds within a jump of his capital. Valasek's dominion over Santander began 6 years ago after he killed the commander of the former Davian mech company that settled the planet following criminal accusations. Since then, a steady trickle of equally bad sorts have made their way to Santander, pledging their mechs to Valasek's service in exchange for booty and sometimes revenge against former employers or comrades. Valasek's total mech strength is just short of a full battalion. That's actually pretty big. But that's a
lot of mechs for a pirate.
Right, yeah. But due to the lack of spare parts and competent technicians, his actual strength is actually somewhat less. He has no present affiliation, for neither Steiner, Karita, nor Davian consider him much of a threat or potential asset. And this is, again, where I find certain things that are in this book or other books. Like, did they have a map in front of them? There's no way this dude could ever get anywhere near House Davian.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, Davian, Liao, Merrick, they don't care. He's too far away.
Exactly. Okay. So that's it for him.
All right.
He's kind of a sexy looking guy, don't you think? Got nipples?
I mean, those are like,
I know.
buttons or something on the pouches.
But you know what they're there to represent. It's the 80s. They had to hide things.
That's true. Red Jack Ryan of Butthold. Timothy Farrelly says in Mechwarrior clans you actually get to fight.
Oh, that's good. Clans in the clans game, why would you fight him? He doesn't exist anymore. Oh, are you talking during the clan invasion itself? Would he still be alive then? Jeez.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, this is 3025, Clan Invasion's 3050, so
3048 for that era. So, I mean, and I'm being pedantic about the 2 years specifically because how old is this jackhole? Doesn't say here. I bet you it does in the periphery book. I forgot his name. Helmar Valasek. I bet it does in the periphery book. He looks like he's probably in his 40s. I guess he could still be alive, but you'd think somebody would have offed him by then. Him and his gold tooth.
He was born 2979, so 2050 or 3050 would put him at about 71 years old.
Okay, I mean, theoretically, he could still be alive. I find that a bit suspect, but, maybe he held on to.
Downfall. For all the trouble he caused, Valasek surprisingly ruled Santander's world for 30 years.
Wow, okay.
Careful to never go more than careful to never become more than a serious irritant to his inner sphere neighbors, who were much more occupied with waging war on each other. The invading clans, however, were neither distracted nor merciful. In August of 3049, forces of Clan Smoke Jaguar landed on the planet in one of the first combat actions of the entire invasion. Valasek ambushed and destroyed the initial landing force, enraging the invaders. Interesting. Using every trick at their disposal, his mech company held out over a week against an entire cluster led by Sakon Sarah Weaver herself.
Wow. And remember, this is Smoke Jaguars. They were the ones that would be willing to wipe you out to the last man.
We'll nuke you from orbit because we got bored.
Right.
At the Pirates' last stand, Weaver's Timberwolf destroyed Valasek's Battlemaster, but discovered that the old captain had not actually been piloting it himself. Valasek escaped from Satander's world and reappeared a year later via published diary entries from Vipava, then part of the Free Rosselhog Republic, and finally 3051 from Telman IV in the Outworlds Alliance, claiming to have gotten plastic surgery and talking about planning to take revenge on the clans or else joining a colony ship in need of a leader. However, it is at his advanced age of 72, and with his world conquered, his pirates destroyed, and having no known heirs, his once feared name faded into obscurity.
What, does it cite a source for that? I am absolutely interested in reading that.
Handbook Major Periphery States.
Oh, I have that.
And Recognition Guide Ilclan, Volume 3.
Have that.
I have that one. It's Volume 3. And I have.
Okay. If you can, here, I can jot that down. I want to write that down because those are things I actually, again, I like a lot of BattleTech lore, especially when it's involving the 3025 era folks.
Yeah.
What did you say the first one was?
The first one is Handbook Major Periphery States. My guess is he probably shows up.
It's an Ilclan Recognition Manual.
Yeah. Okay. So Ilclan Recognition Guide, Ilclan. Basically, it's the tech readouts where they updated all of the art.
Oh. Number 3.
Max, look up.
Oh.
This is it right here. That paragraph.
Oh, it's just one paragraph for that?
Yeah. Here. Okay. I'll copy that and I'll send it to you.
Well, I'm glad, even though I don't know crap about this guy, nor do I care, because Band of Kingdoms weren't my favorite thing to read about. I like the fact that not only is he mentioned here, but and we actually kind of know, maybe not his demise, but we know how he ended up. I like that.
Yeah.
I like those things at the end of the movies where they walk away into the sunset and they say he lived another 17 years before he.
Before succumbing to heat stroke and a scorpion bite.
Which is why I like Red Jack Ryan, because kind of the opposite is true, because we already read that his family was one of the first to develop the ice trade, so to speak.
Right. All right. Red Jack Ryan of Butthold. Not gonna laugh.
I laughed once, so I'm not gonna do it a second time.
I'm gonna laugh every time.
Okay.
All right. Ryan is the current leader of a mob of renegades, lowlifes, and criminals headquartered at the isolated, resource-poor world of Butthold. A distant descendant of the famous Terran hegemony entrepreneur Rudolph Ryan, Red Jack is a lot less reputable, having led his subordinates in an uncontrolled destruction of a Merrick agricultural world while serving as a battalion commander for Hendrik of Oberon. After Ryan and his men were forced to flee pursuit by Merrick and Hendrik, they settled at Butthold. In the past half dozen years, Ryan's men have epitomized banditry, raiding both Steiner and Karita space as well as into the periphery. As a result of his indiscriminate activity, Ryan has made enemies, but not friends. Though his total strength is unknown, it is estimated to be nearly 2 battalions of mechs, but with little aerospace fighter support. Yes, seriously. It's like, mechs are rare. They are hard to come by. I am a pirate with 2 companies, or no, 2 battalions. 2 battalions. That's 72 mechs. Like, you can't even like
how many are operational? Well, no, it's not going to say, but
it doesn't say.
Oberon. So we skipped Hendrix of Oberon. He must have been pissed. I'm just going to check real quickly here. Grim, does it say how many he has? Hendrix mech strength is no more than 2 full regiments. But he owns multiple worlds, though.
Oh, the one prior?
Yeah, we skipped him. That's fine. But he has a couple regiments. But losing 2 battalions out of a couple regiments. So basically, he had almost 3 regiments, and this dude
just said, yanked one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to see on the Overlord dropship.
36.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means he's got to have at least two Overlords.
Or 3, 6, whatever, unions. And
yeah, again.
Look, he's got a jump ship. All these guys, in order to raid, they have to have jump ships.
Yeah. That's true. He I'm not seeing anything about how much gear he actually has. Let's see. Oh, basically, he was what Phelan Kell. He's who Phelan Kell was hunting when the clans showed up.
Oh, was it him? Okay.
In 3049, the Kellhounds were on a pirate hunting mission against Kenny Ryan's pirates in the Oberon Confederation system of the Rock, where they witnessed the clans.
I forget. I knew they were pirate hunting, but I forgot who they were going after.
Okay, maybe not. Well. Oh, no, this is his baby mama was with them.
You know, I normally hate that term, but you know, he's a pirate. He deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, yo. Anyways, all right. I don't want to read his Sarna entry. That's a lot. Folks, go check it out. Sarna.net. All right. What else do we got?
To me, there's nothing else important here, but I don't know what other folks might be interested in.
Cercinius Federation, Marius O'Reilly of Alfard, the Belt Pirates of Star's End. Oh, here. The Alliance. Okay, let's read the alliances. The Outworlds Alliance, Taurian Concordat, and Magistracy.
Yes, these 3, especially as the future. Well, Outworlds Alliance, not so much, but the other 2 actually have some pivotal parts to play as the future goes forward, especially the Canopians, because of the future alliance with House Liao.
All right, so Max, do you want me to be a dork and make you read the Magistracy section, or do you want me to do it?
I'll read whichever one. I'm
okay. How big a tongue twister do you want, Max? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, God, I see you saying. No, I love the fact that I can't say Magistracy. So what order are they going? Because, well, who just read? You did. So I'll do Outworlds. You can do Concordat. Yeah, and then I can do Magistrate. That works for me.
Cool. All right, do it.
All right, let me get back onto my page. 0. All right. Okay, the Outworlds Alliance. Ruled by the House of Avalar, the Outworlds Alliance is centered in the Alpharatz system beyond the coreward edge of the Federated Suns. It's in a bubble between the House Karita and the Federated Suns, like this little bubble area there. Being relatively distant from the battles fought in the periphery, the Alliance still faced badly in the Civil War. After the disintegration of the Star League, it was left to go its own way because of the bitter conflict between its 2 closest Innersphere neighbors, House Davian and Karita. Like most organized governments in the periphery, it was fortunate that the Alliance never felt much psychological dependence on Terra as homeworld. Thus, the Outworlds were able to handle isolation with some aplomb. I haven't seen that word in forever. Though their economic dislocation was significant. Yeah, like there's nobody near them. It is the Outworlds Alliance, Karita, Davian. That's it. In Starleague times, the extent of the Outworlds was as great as the Draconis Combine and spanned 150 worlds. Disassociation, abandonment, and loss of communications has shrunk this dominion to just over 40 worlds, but the Avalar family has provided just and competent leadership for 2 centuries. The current patriarch, Neil Ill, is that Ill Avalar?
Neil the Second.
Shouldn't that be Neil Avalar the Second? Whatever.
Yeah,
that looks weird to me if that's what it is. But okay, Neil the Second Avalar is currently being wooed by agents from both House Davian and House Karita. He's resisted such blandishments, hoping to avoid becoming embroiled in the bitter dispute between the 2 successor states. And I hate to say this, but that entry says nothing about the Outworlds Alliance. If you read the Periphery books, like I said, they're completely agricultural. They're almost Luddite in their anti-technology stance. It's funny that they lasted as long as they did. Now, I know in the future, the pretend future, they're taken over by Diamond Shark or something. They're taken over by one of the clans.
Clan Snowraven.
Snowraven, okay. And they become some sort of whatever, homogenous.
It's another merger like Clan Ghost Bear.
Yeah. Another bunch of nonsense that you shouldn't pay attention to.
Nobody likes fan fiction.
Right. See? But I'm again, I would just wonder if it's one of those things that they just didn't have that settled on yet. And let's be honest, do you think that a completely agrarian society would have lasted against Davian and Karita? No. But
especially like if it's a very heavily agrarian, planets, like sorry, Davian and Karita are going to be like, we could use some more grain. Boop, we're going to take these worlds. They're not leaving those unoccupied.
Well, they did negotiations that kept them, unattacked.
No, right. But I'm just saying you can't really go Luddite and no technology, things like that. Because
but
again,
Ewoks can't take down an empire, but somehow they did.
Yeah, well, look, I still maintain that Lucas can't write his way out of a paper bag, but that's a separate issue.
But now we have the Taurian Concordat.
The Taurian Concordat, ruled by the House of Calderon, is based in the close star cluster of the Hyades, rimward beyond the Federated Suns. It controls 30 worlds in an area spanning just over 8 light years, one of the highest concentrations of solar systems in the human sphere. The Taurian Concordat was decimated by the Civil War, having been brutally beaten by Kerensky's forces after 18 of its worlds seceded from the Star League in 2765. Indeed, the Taurians have often been a source of trouble, having been the last of the Outer Worlds alliances to join the Star League at the end of the 26th century. Mistrust of outsiders seems bred into them. This is especially true of the realm's current leader, Thomas Calderon. Mistrustful of enemies and allies alike, he has spent a great deal of energy and of his realm's treasury to support this paranoia. Many of the realm's oligarchs feel that Thomas Calderon would do well to step down from the post of protector and permit his son Geoffrey to assume the throne. Affable, charismatic, and almost completely guileless, Geoffrey is the antithesis of his father. The Concordat is somewhat impoverished due to severe restrictions on internal commerce and limitations on private exploration imposed by the ruling house. However, the Taurian Concordat's delay in exploring and exploiting the mostly abandoned buffer between it and the Federated Suns might result in the establishment of Davian outposts closer to its borders than it might otherwise like.
All right. The Taurians, I know I have a couple friends, a couple people I know that are really fond of the Taurians. I'm not. But I don't think they're like an evil house or something. Other than the fact that they give the Davians the what for on occasion. I don't know. There's very little that I find interesting about the Taurians, but I know there are people out there who really like them. Want me to do Majesty? Do you want me to do the Canopus now? Okay. All right. The Magistracy of Canopus. ruled by the House of Centrella, has grown rapidly in the last several years under the leadership of the extremely charismatic Magistrix Ayala, a 2-meter tall black woman who won the support of her countrymen through her exploits as a battle mech leader. Ayala has stirred enthusiasm in her allies with the promise that Canopus might someday return to its former greatness by taking advantage of the divisions in the inner sphere. Unlike other periphery lords such as Neil Avalar, who fear involvement in the succession wars, Kyala has sought active participation negotiating not only with disaffected provincial leaders in the Free Worlds League, but also with the least powerful successor states, the Capellan Confederation. She has moderate success in wooing disgruntled mech units to her banner, offering generous land grants in exchange for service. Canopus can now field nearly 6 regiments of mech units. I think it's more than that, but bad intel from that area. Kyala's dream of greatness for Canopus involves a scheme that would bring vast sections of the Free Worlds League and Capellan Confederation under her control, a dream that until recently has had very little chance of success. Of late, however, spies from the inner sphere have learned that the magistracy of Canopus has a source of supply for her mech units that lies somewhere beyond the periphery, and that this source has been the key to its phenomenal growth. Hold the phone. The clans come from the literally opposite side of the inner sphere, so it's not the clans. The Explorer Corps in this book does talk a lot about, if I remember, again, it's been 20 some years at least since I've read this book, but I seem to remember it talking a lot about doing explorations down that way. I don't remember that fact. I may have to read a little more on the, get into one of my other periphery books or see what's going on with that. 6 regiments does not sound like a lot. I'm pretty sure the Canopians have more than 6 regiments, but again, this book, it can be a little off with the numbers based on when it was written and so forth. But what they don't tell you here is that the Canopians are that Space Las Vegas. It is about as libertine as you can be. Do what thou wilt, harm none, sort of thing. If you want to coke up and have an orgy and take all the heroin in the world, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, they don't care. But, which is why I always found it odd that they end up in the future, that fake future that doesn't happen. They end up, actually, I think it's her granddaughter ends up marrying either Sun Tzu or Dao Shen Liao. I should know which one. I can't believe that I forgot. I think it's got to be Dao Shen. Not Dao Shen. No, it's got to be Sun Tzu. It's got to be Sun Tzu. To solidify a pact between the magistracy and the Capellan Confederation.
I don't know. That would be something we'd have to dive into.
Well, that'd be 3060 era type stuff.
That's fair.
But that last sentence threw me off because I don't remember reading that. I'm not saying it's not there. It's been a long time since I read those books, but they're being supplied by secret mech units. I wonder if they just found like a cache or something. That has me wanting to look it up after this video is over and just look up because I do not remember reading that, but that is some interesting information if true. And especially considering this is the thing that I want to put out there. Everybody says, well, you got the clans. The clans, we're talking down south. The clans are up north. They come from the north. Wolf's Dragoons gets their stuff. Well,
Wolf's Dragoons first showed up, I want to say, in like Davian or the Free Worlds League, like intentionally, because they wanted to come in from a different route to not reveal or to not accidentally reveal the clan world.
I remember something like that. I think you're right.
But even then, you're like they're not affected by the clan invasion. Now, the funny thing is, like, I'm looking at Sarna and I've been slightly distracted, obviously. But I'm finding nothing mentioning this last sentence about,
yes. So it might just be one of those things where they had an idea and they went a different route. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Like we keep saying throughout this series here that this was one of the earliest written books. We think it was put together in like 6 months, if that, just get something out. So these could be like pie in the sky ideas that they had that they changed later. And to be fair, you can treat all of this as rumor.
Yeah. I mean, it's the succession wars. Technology is falling apart, so this is the last good report that Comstar had, or that if you're playing a Karita campaign, that the what's their secret police called,
ISF,
right? The ISF, or pick your intelligence surface.
I forget what they're called for. Safe for the Free Worlds League.
Yeah, so you could absolutely take an unreliable narrator for any of
it was Heimdall.
But yeah, so it definitely it is kind of interesting, because like I love how games like this do expand and grow over time. The history develops, but it is kind of fun to go back and see the original, where they like you said, they had ideas, they were throwing stuff against the wall, and maybe they went with something, maybe they didn't. I don't know.
What if, because we have not read that line anywhere except for, I think, Wolf Dragoons we did. What if the original intent was to have the clan invasion from the south?
Maybe. I mean, like, so real quick, folks, just because I'm gonna take this off the screen. We're not talking about travel time. That's boring. Like, if you really want the details, get the book and read it.
Or get the jump ships and drop ship books. It's better.
Yeah, and
we're also not
going to talk about titles and nobility. If you want to know how they work in the 31st century, obviously get the book and read it, or go to Wikipedia and read about the different titles of nobility.
Yeah, I think it would have been more. I think it would have been more interesting had BattleTech kept the importance of that. But since over time nobody gives a darn about those titles anymore, there's just no.
Yeah. So yeah, but essentially that finishes the book. We made it.
I just found a page though that might be worth looking at. Although,
is it in the book or is it somewhere else?
It's page 144 in the book, PDF 145. Or you could read that wiki page for us. There you go.
Yeah, maybe if somebody would comment on a video and tell me something they'd like me to read from the wikis. Malachi. Anyways, what are we looking at on page 144?
This might be interesting. I don't know.
All right. Max wants us to read one more page.
No. I'm just saying it might be interesting.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay. So you have to start though, because I get the second one.
Okay. All right, that's fine. All right, so we're not going to talk about like the house, like the titles of nobility, like from history, like prince and duke and all that kind of Marquesses cheesies, So these are just going to be about how the different houses deal with those titles, just so you know that there are some differences.
It also talks about the leadership of the various houses. And we've talked a lot about that anecdotally on the side. The book didn't really go into it. I think it is worth mentioning how the overall houses either call their leader or just kind of break themselves down real quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, variations among the successor states. Each of the 5 houses has developed its own usages and forms of nobility due to the vagaries of history or culture. A few of the major differences among them are described below. For the Lyran Commonwealth, the territories belonging to House Steiner are administered by an Archon, a title derived from a governmental system of ancient Athens, which vested power in a council of 9 Archons or magistrates. The Lyran Commonwealth is governed by a ruling council. Theoretically, the council holds elective powers over the Archonship, but in fact generally approves a hereditary succession. The heir is the Archon designate.
Real quickly, because I don't see the name in here, that council is called the Estates General.
Yes, I believe you're correct. The Archon is, by tradition, also Duke or Duchess of Tharkad, capital of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth nobility is less class-conscious or bound by aristocratic tradition than many other hereditary states. The title of Duke, for example, is as much a political office as a mark of nobility. Individual worlds within the Commonwealth maintain some of the trappings of nobility, preferring in general the Germanic equivalent of the various titles, Margrave, Landgrave, Graf, and prefacing a baron's name with the formal Baron von. Okay.
All right, Capellan Confederation. The ruler of the Capellan Confederation is His Celestial Wisdom, MaxLiao. May his name go down in the annals of history as one of the most glorious leaders ever. Is designated Chancellor, a title held over from pre-successor state days when the Chancellor was one of the ministers to the Chief Lord of the Star League. The current ruler of the Confederation also holds the title Prefect and Commonalty of Xi'an.
Prefect of the Commonalty of Xi'an.
What'd I say?
You messed up the words in the middle.
Oh, did I?
Yep.
Okay, Prefect of the Commonalty of Xi'an. Honestly, it's probably because I was looking down because I want to see real quickly here. I don't see it here, so I'm going to say it now. So there's the Chancellor, there's the House of Scions, which is the prefector from each of the prefects, and then there's the oh my god, how did I forget it? House of Scions. It's the prefect. The House of Science and the Prefectorate. Anybody who's been following any of you weirdos, like the one or two of you out there who might have been part of Legion of Myth for a long time, would know that my website, the Discord, was set up using Capellan Confederation terms for like almost a decade. Like the Prefectorate were the moderators, the House of Science were me and Heathen Dog at one time, included Garthon as well. But I had it set up and it was based completely on the Capellan Confederation. But yeah, so anyway, the current ruler of the Confederation also holds the title. We already said that, Prefect of Commonalty of Xi'an. This reflects a neo-communist period in Xi'an's history when industries were commonized and handed to the people. No. The supervisors on Xi'an and elsewhere were prefects or administrators of administrative districts. The Chancellor is also known as the Duke of Xi'an, a title created by the First Lord when Xi'an was incorporated into the League. It is so hard for me still not to say Cyan. In general, prefects hold much of the same position in terms of power and authority as do dukes, marquesses, and counts. Though some semi-independent worlds within the Confederation retain the older titles, their holdings are called refectures. That, by the way, I want to say it's in the house book as well. It's not a misprint, and if it is, it's a multiple misprint because they do it in the house book as well. They have refectures as well as prefectures.
Okay,
seeing it here tells me that it's not necessarily a I'm trying to think of the term they use because it threw me off when I was reading the house books years ago, but maybe it wasn't a typo, or somebody just keeps missing P and it's never caught,
or it's a copy paste.
Yeah.
And back in the day, they did that and they didn't spell check it.
That's true. But they are called prefectures. I know refectures is a word that was used before, and if that's totally a misprint, then it's misprinted multiple times. I promise you that. You can look at the House Liao handbook for that. Anyway, within Confederation feudalism, answer to the duchies and countships of other worlds. There's a range of authority within the ranks of prefects. A powerful prefect may be designated senior prefect, lord high prefect, or arch prefect. I don't remember any of that.
Dictionary.com does not have an entry for refecture.
Okay. I thought honestly, I thought it was a space term that they were just using to do.
That's true. It could be
it probably is a misprint. It just surprises me that I see it here because I remember seeing refect, not prefect in that book. And
yeah, but then they keep saying prefect. Yeah, it's a prefecture. Anyways,
but if I remember correctly, it actually had a different role though. That's why I'm like I'm not gonna say that, dude. Come on, shut up. It's a stupid typo. I get it. Look, but there's something that's telling me in my head. It's just been a long time since I've read it. That they use the term in a different manner. That could be coincidence. It could be completely wrong. But I guess we'll have to cover the House Liao book sometime. Where are we here? The title Baron has largely been superseded by the title Warlord or Daimyo. Oh, Daimyo's Japanese. Come on, guys. Among those taken with a resurgence. What? Different words. It's only prefecture before you settle. It's a refecture after you do it again. You don't know. I'm not laughing. That is correct.
Yes, that is. Thank you, nerds, for correcting us. We absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah, prefectures before you do it, refectures after you've done it.
No. It's when you do it a second time.
Yeah,
You're refecturing it.
You're redoing it. You prefectures before you get there because that's pre. Anyway, I do the warrior houses call them daimyos? I forget. I think they do because I think the first warrior house was what, Amara. I don't know if that was the first one. It was the biggest one, but and if that's the case, then I could understand why they'd go with daimyo because that's Japanese. I just haven't paid that much attention to it. I probably should. Anyway, the title Baron has largely been superseded by the title Warlord of Daimyo among those taken by the resurgence of interest in Japanese and Chinese culture within the Confederation. Warlord is held strictly as a military title and considered to be a stepping stone to the title of Duke. Some worlds have revived the ancient title Shogun. Okay, now they're just getting crazy. This is not real. Or Supreme Warlord to designate the senior daimyo of district or army. No, even in the oldest the handbook, they don't do this. They stick with the Russian, Chinese, or just generic westernized marquis baroness and so forth.
I don't.
They're overdoing it here. I feel like I'm reading half of the Draconis Combine right now. So, particularly important in the Confederation military-oriented culture are the warrior houses. These are patterned somewhat after the samurai warriors of feudal Japan and can be compared with the knightly orders of other interstellar states. The leader of a warrior house, usually a daimyo with no direct holding or land power, will swear fealty to a landholding prefect or daimyo. No, it's directly to the chancellor, and provide with trained soldiers and equipment. That's directly to the chancellor. Transports and battle mechs. A warrior house belonging to one lord may be rented out in mercenary fashion to another lord in exchange for goods, services, support, or favors. The allegiances, authority, and obligations among the various warlords of vying degrees of power and wealth can be exquisitely complex. No, it's directly to the chancellor. The warrior houses serve the chancellor.
And for the record, Sarna.net has no listing of daimyo outside of the Draconis Combine.
That's fair. Yeah, I would have to look it up again. I don't remember but I don't want to act like it was never said or something. But yeah, that's very Draconis Combine, because Draconis Combine is Space Japan. We just got done reading Space Sino-Soviet North Korea.
Right.
Kinda.
Yeah, too much Japan in there.
Yes, way too much. So,
all right,
since we've already had too much Japan, please anime us.
Right. Now that we've had too much Japan, let's have more Japan. Takashi Kurita styles himself Coordinator of the Combine, Duke of Luthien, Unifier of Worlds. His title of Duke goes back to the Star League days when the industrialized world of Luthien was an important element in the First Lord's power base. The stark utilitarianism of draconian civilization tends to downplay the authority of individual nobles, though Kurita maintains the skein of dukedoms throughout its realm as a means of unifying power and consolidating it with his throne. Of far greater importance throughout the Combine are the local units of the ISF, Kurita's powerful and far-reaching space police, secret police. In compensation for the lack of noble titles, orders of knighthood
don't die
are important among career military officers. One of the best known is the Order of the Dragon, which includes within its ranks no less a personage than Vasily Sherenkov, General of the Army.
Notice that a lot of Soviets run the armies here.
I mean, Kami's gonna commie.
Kami's gonna commie. All right, Free Worlds League. The leader of the Free Worlds League is Captain General Janos Merrick. I'm doing my German there. Janos Merrick, Captain General and Duke of Atreus. Again, the Dukedom of Atreus is descended from the Star League days, and as in the Federated Suns, the mechanism of the aristocracy is largely intact. The title Captain General is obviously a military one. It is based on the rise of Kenyan Merrick to power during the Civil War and on the legal instrumentality of Resolution 288, which created the post of Captain General for the duration of the emergency and is invoked with the swearing in of each successive ruler. The breakdown of a strong central authority within the Free Worlds has resulted in considerable strife and opportunism among the nobles of all ranks. Captain General has shown considerable talent in pitting noble against noble in his effort to maintain power, but it's inevitable that sooner or later a coalition of warlord nobles will accumulate enough power and single-mindedness of purpose to quickly depose Merrick at best or begin a bloody civil war at worst. foreshadowing anything. You know what's funny? In all of these realms so far, they keep calling them despots, and I guess that's technically true, but it's not in the colloquial way we use that. Warlords and opportunities among the noble. You know, but when you read the novels and you dive deeper into the books, it seems like a pretty functioning Western style monarchy.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah, it's yeah, it's definitely not the oh, I am the Duke, so I will do all of this stuff because I want to, and you can't stop me. It's like, no, he's actually a pretty decent guy. We like him. Thanks for keeping track of this.
House Merrick is a bit of the exception to that, but in all of these, they keep saying his warlords, and he's like, dude, yeah, that's just his regional commander. That's like his governor. Like, what do you want? Right. like Battletech simmered some of this down.
Yeah, General Dave. You know,
yeah, right.
nobody's worried about General Dave. You know, Warlord Bone Crusher the 47th.
Like he's some orc going out there.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about that guy.
All right, despite its critics, the feudal government and economic system of the successor states has endured centuries of revolution, war, civil war for one reason. It works. Attempts to dismantle it, even on the scale of a single planet, have been only partially successful. The feudal system of medieval times on Earth was overthrown by the emergence of a middle class of merchants and technical specialists, but the feudalism of the old Star League simply incorporated the existing middle class. Therefore, it is not likely that successor state feudalism will be overturned from within. The final test of the system awaits the end of the succession wars, when one of the present contenders for the throne of First Lord will have to use the existing structure of aristocracy to create a new ruling system that embraces all the worlds of mankind. And I read that to you with the Corvin Doctrine, Sarna Mandate, and Loric's Order in a previous episode of how that will work. Did we miss the... Where's the... Wait, hold on. Where's the Federated Sons in this?
No, I was thinking about that. You know where this Federated Sons is?
Where?
It's here.
Oh, because it uses the common vernacular.
The Federated Sons is going to use all of this.
Okay, yeah, okay.
You know,
so what is the leader of the Federated Sons called?
The Prince. The
first prince. First Prince,
right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, so that's the thing, is all of this is very general terms with a few things tossed in for House Davian. We're not reading all of this. Basically what we read is what would be different from a standard, European.
And really the part I was most concerned with is, like the Capellan one was way too long. I didn't need to read all that, but was like the first paragraph that talked about the Archon is the leader of the Lyran Commonwealth. And I would have liked it if it would have said, because maybe they didn't have it, thought out at that point, that it did talk about the Archon and then the Estates General, the Captain General and his Parliament, Chancellor and his House of Scions, and then which is mostly his family, and then the Prefectorate,
right.
And Draconis Combine. I honestly don't remember. I know they've got the 5 keys. I don't remember what his ruling council, if he even has one, what that is.
So real quick, I am going to read this. So the title system, because essentially this will cover the House Davian. Okay. The principal classes of nobility under the ruling sovereign are Duke, Marquess, Count, Viscount, and Baron. Some worlds maintain all 5 noble classes or their equivalents, while others have done away with all of them. Of the 5, dukes and barons are the most common. Many dukedoms consist of a central duchies surrounded by dependent baronies, with none of the middle-level aristocratic classes. Throughout inhabited space, dukes are the most common and most powerful expression of aristocratic presence. For each of the 5 houses of the successor states depends on an interlocking network of key duchies to support its political power. Cameron based his nobility system on the English version, which differs significantly from the European system. The system is common throughout the system is in common use throughout Davian's Federated Sons, is actually closer to the old European system than to the English. The Federated Sons use Count, for example, instead of the English Earl. So, again, we're not going to read the whole thing, but
right.
There's the quick and dirty.
I think the important part is for Davian is to know that the leader is the first prince, and then each of the respective marches is a duke.
Right. Exactly. Hey, Max. We did it.
Is this the good book? No. I have the same back cover as you do for the PDF. So I like the one better that said, oh, maybe that's the Battletech box that says that in the 31st century, life is cheap, but battle mechs aren't.
Oh, yeah. We talked about it. I think that was like the first or second episode. I think.
That's the back cover I like. But that might be the actual second edition box set, though.
So anyways, this was a lot of fun.
This has made me want to read the damn Periphery book again. I'm serious.
Well, no, we're going to get to that eventually because we're going to go through all the house books.
Oh, Lord.
So
you're the Milquetoast guy. I'm the Capellan. You got to have a Fed Rat on here. Or a Steiner. I don't care. One of the two.
Oh, no. Well, honestly, I'd love to get like a panel of like 4 of us. Okay. I've got some other ideas. But then if we could find like a period of time, just an hour. I'd want to keep it to an hour or less.
Good luck.
I understand that. We'll get through as much as we can in an hour, and just make that like the weekly podcast. I think that would be a treat. But that's up to you.
I'm gonna say this, even though it's your channel, not mine, and so it's not fair for me to say it here, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Money talks. That's not to Brian. That's to you folks out there. Super chats make us want to do this more. But Max, you wouldn't get them. They'd go to Brian. Super chats make us want to do this more.
I mean, they may come to me, but okay, I'm not saying I'm going to pay Max.
Oh, I wouldn't. No, you shouldn't. Dude, tax implication, don't do it.
Can I shut up? Can you shut up for a second?
Don't do it.
I was just going to say, maybe Max gets a present, like some more painted mechs or a new book or something like that,
The Star League book? I get paid Star League books.
That's a lot of super chats.
That's a ton of super.
But again, my point is, yes, I would host it because Max. I think Max would go insane if he had to host that as well. Shinatsu might kill you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even doing this, like it's finding the time to do it. Like I want to. I 100%. For whatever reason, the last couple of weeks of us going through the books, I've been having fun. Don't get me wrong, but I've been kind of like, okay, this is coming to an end soon. Cool, whatever. But after today, like I've always liked, as much as some of you've heard me complain about things, I've always liked the original BattleTech lore, even if some of it didn't make sense. Wars always increase technology. Why did they decrease in BattleTech? Because they did. Shut up. Why do missiles only go like 720 meters? Because they do. Shut up. Why is it Space Japan and Space Bushido and Space? Because it is, and that's what's fun. Shut up. Like I like a lot of that stuff. I really do. And I've always liked the original lore of BattleTech, even with its insane silliness that might be in there. And it was almost like the more they tried to make it realistic, or the more they tried to put it with the real world, the less interesting it became.
Yeah. Yeah, because the more it ties into the real world, the less escapism it is. You're not learning about this weird mystical place. You're learning about Dave down the street.
Yeah.
Nobody likes Dave.
I mean, you and I had a disagreement in the background where people didn't hear. Like, I actually like the way the Jihad books were written. I don't like the era. He doesn't. But the reason I like the way they were written is because they were like anecdotal, and you're kind of getting it like from the ground level and so forth. And I thought that was an interesting way of putting the information out there, even if nowadays they're dated because they look like forum posts. Dave's not here, man.
Right. So, no, exactly. So anyways, it's interesting, but yeah. So folks, needless to say, all right, we're going to end it because I do actually have to go, and Max and I are going to have to chat for a couple of minutes, but, regardless, So first off, before we go, Max, I just want to say thank you for doing this.
Okay? Oh no, this was fun. Thank you for inviting me and having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been a fantastic co-host. You know,
nerd. She's right though. Every single minis game in history of Earth has ridiculously short ranges for weapons. Why, folks? Because they want you to be able to play it on a table. That's why. Battletech is only unique for having high enough percentage of its players having autism to make it a problem. Wait, are you talking about me?
She's talking about all of us, like literally everyone in this chat. But seriously, Max, I absolutely appreciate you giving me your time and your attention in this. You've been, for as much fun as we've been having, you have been a bit of a stabilizing factor on me. Honestly, any of my co-hosts are. So I've absolutely
always better to do with someone else. Maybe I'm not the best choice, but it's always better to do. I've learned this, that without Heathen Dog, like, yeah, I mean, you've actually filled in for Heathen Dog before. Doing it by myself is boring for them and for me. Doing it with you, doing it with Heathen Dog, whatever, makes it much more interesting because, and everybody's got a different personality. So I think it wasn't me that enhanced the show, but because you know how you're running your show here. But being on here to do this for Battletech, I'm glad it was first edition. I have relearned a lot from this. Like, I don't remember that being in the game before. Oh, that's why we didn't play this, or whatever. Yeah. The character point system that I'm still like, I know I understood it at one point. But no, this has been absolutely fun. I really, really, really do now. My time is precious to me because of what we've got going on, but to the folks out there, I really, really do want to do like the house books and more my era of Battletech, the 3025 purist era of Battletech. I'll come back for any of that when I can. My problem is guaranteeing a price, like with Bear, with this game. I want to play in Bear's game, but I can't. I can say, yeah, this Friday, no problem. Next Friday, no problem. Then something comes up.
Right.
And it's like, crap. What do I don't want to screw you over when it comes to this, which is the main thing for me. If I've got stuff I have to do at home.
Right. No, exactly. So that's why, like, we're not promising anything yet. I want to make it happen. Max clearly wants to make it happen. So we'll see what we can do. But again, it'll be shorter streams. That way wives don't get as grumpy. Yeah. Work doesn't get impacted, things like that. But we'll do it. Because I honestly think it would be a lot of fun. Just to go through. I was thinking about it a lot of times, like the highly produced videos, like the Text Talks Battletech. They're great, they're fun. But sometimes it's stylized. It's changed for the dramatic purposes as opposed to just the straight history. And sometimes going through the straight history is fun.
Yeah. So, well, pardon me for saying this in your show, but he's a PGI shill, so I kind of lost a lot of respect for him. But he does have some really good Battletech history from the 3050 perspective, though.
Sure. No, but I'm just talking.
Well, from the current perspective, whatever the current perspective is.
Well, no, but like I'm talking like partly from my Wiki's channel perspective, because like I did the Christmas truce last week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Christmas truce, like the story you hear is about one event. Well, no, apparently like it actually happened all across the Western Front.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very like the story we hear is very dramatized, but sometimes being able to go and just get the textbook version of it, of what actually happened.
And then talking about, this is why I'm kind of scared to do what you're suggesting, because what I would like to do is I'll use my Explorer Core book for lack of a better one right here. Okay. Oh my God, I forgot these are laid out differently. Life in space. And we read this section. Where the hell's my camera? This life and space section here, right? But then talk about it. Kind of talk about it a little bit. As players, as game masters, as people, we'll say Battletech historians or whatever. And then as time goes on, like, whoa, hold on here. Remember when we read the Capellan book and it said X, Y, and Z, but now we're reading the Federated Sons book and it says they're doing for 1, 2, and 3.
C. Yeah.
No, that's. That's what the kind of discussion I would like to have. Reading the dry book is just reading the dry book, even if it is lore and getting it out there. I like the idea of doing it and then talking, kind of book club. There you go. And kind of talking about it, now, what does this mean to you? But actually saying like, okay, what did we read? Well, we read that Franco Liao created the Capellan Confederation. Okay, cool. Not much there, but as time goes on, man, Kerneth was a jerk. Or for me, when we get to people like Alicia Liao and like, notice that the Capellan Confederation is at the forefront for dang near almost everything that happened in the Inner Sphere when it comes to important history things. The Ares Conventions, like recognizing that we probably shouldn't push Kerensky away, things like that. Barbara Liao and her comment about that. And then going, because I also know the Steiner book really well, and just looking at the chaos that was Steiner, you're like, wait, what? Like,
yeah, no, I folks. Anyways,
yeah, sorry.
I think no, you're fine.
This has been fun, and thank you. Thank you to you guys out there as well. And even you who give the little nasty comments about me having strong opinions. Yeah, I have strong opinions. Maybe you shouldn't be in the hobby. I'm going to get yelled at after the stream's over.
Oh, no, you're not going to get yelled at by me. Anyways, Max, anything you want to shout out before we go?
I think I did enough shouting. Thank you to everybody. Seriously, Brian, thank you for having me on here again. Thank you to you guys for watching. Please check out Legion of Myth, our channel. We got a whole bunch of new stuff coming up in 2026, starting new games in terms of what we're covering, new ways of covering them to some degree, and Game Master Insight is back. So if you're a game master out there, if you're a player out there, and you want to learn how to handle certain situations of the games, we are going to have people on with differing opinions. That's the idea. This guy does it this way. This guy does it this way. This one maybe is in the middle or even has a third way of figuring it out, who knows? And then you can pick and choose what those folks say, what you like out of there, and improve your table and I'm going to improve my table from that as well. So
maybe I'll actually start a table at some point.
Maybe he'll start a table.
Yeah.
Thanks to Game Master Insight on Fridays at 6 p.m.
Game Master Insights. Exactly. So, all right. As I said, I have a lot of glorious plans for 2026. We will see how many of them actually come to fruition. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss any of that. As always, I would appreciate if you went over and subscribed to my Reading Wikis channel. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and there's lots of fun Battletech information coming there too. So, make sure you're subscribed over there. So shut up, Malachi.
Wow. I don't know who that's a dig on, though.
Both. I mean, it's Malachi. He's pretty good at busting on himself. Anyways, Malachi, we still love you, buddy. All right. With that said, we're going to bounce. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will talk to you next time. Bye.